Hey, hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to this week's Creators Roundtable. Thank you for the donation right there, Commander Geronimo, really appreciate that. I'm going to jump straight in and bring the other guys in. They're in the middle of a discussion at the moment, but yeah, so I don't know what subjects we're going to talk about today. We've got a few things lined up, but you probably can hear them talking in the background right now, so I'm going to bring them in now, and here we go.
Alerts muted for the Creators Roundtable.
Or maybe not. I think they're still in the middle of setting up there. So how is everyone? Great to see you all here again. Thank you, Eldon Appleby, Mad Greep, Commander Soundo, nice to see you again. Yep, I can understand that. Button polyps, I guess it's the way they seem to do things, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. I'm here. There we go. Hello.
Alright, so we can, I guess, start properly, huh?
Yes.
So, who wants to do the intro?
Proxim. I don't know.
Welcome to the Creators Roundtable! Yes! No. How's it going, everybody? So, welcome to another Creators Roundtable. I am Proxim, and with me is the usual Yamiks, Obsidian, and Exegius, Down to Earth Astronomy, and DJTruthsayer. So let's just kind of start down the line and have you guys introduce yourselves for those who may not know who you are by now. So, DJ, who are you?
Idiot in a spaceship, leader of the Sovereignty streamer on Twitch.
There you go. And Down to Earth Astronomy.
How-to YouTuber.
And Exegius?
It's the same.
And the venerable Obsidian Ant.
Hello, yep, Obsidian Ant, just a YouTuber.
There you go. That's
just a content creator.
To be honest, you could have just finished at "Hello, I'm Obsidian Ant." To be honest.
Yes.
Welcome to 3304.
Yeah, you got to start giving us a. And I'll catch you guys and gals next time at the end of the streams.
Yeah, we need some of those.
I get that request all the time.
And the last one here is Yamiks.
Proxim, you probably know me better than anyone else here, so...
Probably.
How would you describe yours truly?
The dead horse beater!
No, a cuddly bear. I'm always saying it, Yamiks.
He's totally the cuddly bear.
So,
I usually say I'm a cunt, but okay, well, let's
No,
go with that.
You're the friendly guy. You're the friendly guy.
Oh, I'm so fucking friendly.
That's it.
Oh, yes!
Can I very briefly share my favourite memory of Yamiks?
Sure.
His daily morning meals, where he and my wife would sit and have a chat, eating Lucky Charms in Boston. That is the image of Yamiks I will never, ever get out of my head.
Yamiks and Lucky Charms.
Yep.
I don't know what... Okay.
I don't remember
that's
that,
my
says Yamiks.
favourite memory of you,
No,
Yamiks.
I remember it, but I don't really think that was
I'm just...
that unique.
The mental image that I have at the moment is like a 6-year-old Yamiks and Lucky Charms in the morning on Saturday watching cartoons.
Right.
Don't take me Lucky Charms, eh?
But yeah, that's my favourite memory of Yamiks.
I'm having a hard
Always
time
will
with
be,
that
I
one,
think.
actually.
Okie dokie. Well, there you go, folks.
So, today's subjects, gentlemen.
Yes. Should we start with the cross-platform thing, I guess? And since Exegius don't know what's this all about, I guess we should let's fill Exegius in, and then the rest of the guys in stream will probably figure it out as well along the way.
Yeah.
So the thing is that there's this small game like nobody really plays. It's called Fortnite. You might have heard of it.
I think I've heard of that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Anyway, Sony has apparently agreed to allow Fortnite to be cross-platform.
Oh, I hadn't heard that yet. Wow.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Now,
yeah.
I guess from my point of view, one of the differences was that Fortnite was already cross-platform with Xbox and PC.
And also let's be clear, a Switch as well.
Yeah, true. But
Right,
okay,
yeah.
I don't know if you. Okay, fair enough. But they were still.
Yeah. Sorry.
Which might be one of the reasons why, because then the PS players was really left out compared to everybody else. But it's interesting because I think it's the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, that we've seen Sony accept something being cross-platform.
I can easily comment this thing, but okay, carry on, guys.
It's certainly a long time, but go ahead.
Okay, well, to give some sort of a background, now, those of you that perhaps watch Jim Sterling probably would have noticed a little interesting things about Sony, and that is that Sony tends to be very cagey when it comes down to cross-platform, which is, partly why, for example, if I remember correctly, it was also Rocket League that was technically cross-platform between PC and Xbox, but not with Sony. And this has been a long-term ongoing thing with Sony in general. So what happened basically with Fortnite and probably the rest of the titles right now as well is that Sony didn't just come out and say, oh yeah, we're going to be good guys and allow that. No, they caved in. They caved to the pressure of the fucking public in general for not allowing, or rather even tainting accounts, especially in Fortnite, and just not allowing crossplay in general. So what happened with Fortnite essentially was that if you had a Fortnite account, you would play the game on PC, Xbox, what else?
Can I just quickly jump in to clarify something that's come up in my chat, and just to make sure everyone realizes this? We are talking crossplay between Xbox, PC, and PlayStation all at the same time, which hasn't happened before. A lot of people are going, oh, but this game has crossplay between PC and PlayStation, and this game has... Yes, that has happened before. It's the fact that it's Xbox
all the
and
consoles,
PlayStation
all the consoles.
that are, And is Nintendo included in this? Just to... Do we know?
Nintendo is
I
already
think so.
Yeah, they've
I
already
think
cross-platform in Fortnite, so I would say.
Yeah, they already have it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
well, you know what's
so
really funny about this whole Fortnite thing, though, is that there was a bug a few months ago that temporarily enabled crossplay between PS4 and PC.
One of those bugs.
The funny thing about that is actually the same thing happened. The same thing sort of happened with Rocket League as well, by the way. And as Rocket League developers have themselves come out and said that all they need is just a go ahead to press a button, literally, or change one number to make crossplay possible between all the platforms rather than having Sony separately. And the funny thing about Fortnite was, I'll let you finish there, but yo, dog, right? But first things first. If you actually used to be that, if you took your Fortnite account from PC or Xbox or both, whatever, into Sony's platform, that account would be stained and wouldn't be playable on other two platforms ever again. So it would be locked as soon as you would enter in Sony's platform, and you could only play on it anymore with the account that you had for all of them previously. Now this probably will be changing because of this thing, Sony is a fucking cunt when it comes down to cross-platform.
Many developers have pointed out, haven't they? It's not a technical issue at all. It's not just the ones that you've mentioned. It's not just these big games, but it's many developers have said it's not a technical issue. This cross-play thing, it's something that they could all enable.
Yeah, this isn't a technical hurdle. It's plain and simple that Sony don't want to share their ecosystem.
That's exactly.
Which is kind of a shame, really, because crossplay would just enrich experiences across the board, I think.
So the thing with
why not?
Fortnite is obviously they've got the numbers to try and push it through. Yeah, all these other games have kind of complained about it or put as much pressure as they can on about it, but they obviously haven't got the weight of Fortnite players.
Yeah, whereas Fortnite is a literal cultural phenomenon, whether you like it or not.
It is.
Don't like it. That game needs to die.
But it's still a cultural phenomenon.
I personally like it quite a bit.
Yep.
Anyways, there was actually one interesting news piece as well about Xbox being a little bit cagey, and that stems back to yeah, I'll finish this story real quick. So, yeah, it was about Minecraft. Now, Xbox or Microsoft didn't really want to make it crossplay between PC and PlayStation, saying that Xbox curates the community and what else, and they don't want nasties to come and ruin it and what else, and they can't curate the PlayStation and what else. And yeah, that's again fine and dandy if you have that sort of argument, but even so, it's just I want my own ecosystem, just like fucking Twitch. But anyways, no, we live in bigger world than just your own, and trying to keep your own little secret garden, well, it works to a point. Unfortunately, once the numbers are big enough, well, guess what you need to start doing and thinking. That is allowing said cross-play if the games are compatible. I mean, sure, if Fortnite players really want to get wrecked by a PC master race, then well, hey, fuck it, we need meat shields. Anyways, carry on.
But I've always.
So,
yeah,
well,
go ahead.
The question that this immediately, obviously the reason we're bringing this up, this is a roundtable about Elite, not about Fortnite. We're bringing this up because obviously once this is successful, which it will be, there's going to be further pressure on Sony to grow up and to allow this for essentially every game. And if for Elite, what do we think it would mean? Like, do you think that it would end up where console players are, that they suffer a disadvantage to PC players, or do you think that it would actually just be a bonus for everyone, essentially?
Are we talking about an Elite?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it would be a bonus, because if you think about the number of PC players that play using Xbox controller already, I don't think flying with an Xbox controller is an inherent disadvantage.
It's not going to be a problem, no.
Right?
No.
Like, yeah, you think about you think like an Xbox controller versus a keyboard and mouse in a first-person shooter. Arguably, the keyboard and mouse player is going to have the advantage, and you could also argue the keyboard and mouse.
Not arguably, my friend. Not arguably.
I mean, no,
No,
I mean, right, yeah, and I agree, but I'm not trying to start a debate there, right? But you can also say that that in Elite, that keyboard and mouse players have a advantage. I'm going to call that ever so slight, but it's not the variability in something like Elite is very minor. So I think it would be nothing but fantastic.
Yeah, there's also the thing that Microsoft are enabling mouse and keyboard support on the Xbox now, aren't they? I don't know if you guys heard that.
Something like it.
Yeah. I think starting with Warframe, they're starting it with.
Yeah,
it's going to be starting on
and there's
Warframe.
always
So.
been ways to do keyboard and mouse on console with those adapters and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think they're great, but you can't do it.
No, I didn't
anyway,
read the article, but I got the impression that it's going to be a requirement at some point for developers to allow that on the Xbox, or enable it on Xbox.
Keyboard and mouse,
There's
you're
someone else correct me if I'm wrong on that. But
Interesting. Okay, I had not seen that, but I can't say you're wrong.
So I'm gonna say I haven't read, but my gut says yes, you're right, because that's an incredibly practical business decision by Microsoft, considering they're porting every exclusive game on their console to PC, and there's parity between the PC Microsoft releases and the Xbox ones.
Yeah.
So
probably
it would make total, it makes total sense to insist that you have to build in mouse and keyboard support from the start, because this is also going to be sold through the Windows store. So that makes all the sense in the world, right?
the other thing is with
been...
Elite, you've got the HOTAS support as well on the consoles, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's been wildly successful.
Mhm.
Like wildly,
I know that there's
wildly successful.
The new version of what is it, Ace Fighter Combat? I think Crossmaster's releasing a new stick, a new HOTAS for that, but it's just a rebrand of the T-Flight. Unfortunately, it's not an actual new stick.
But yeah, the T-Flight stick that sells on the console is the best-selling stick Thrustmaster have ever done by a country mile.
Yeah, I put up a quick poll about that when I did a review video, and it was the most popular answer. Obviously, it's the only choice for console, and it would be nice if if there were some better console choices. At the same time, and I don't mean to be PC master race, which I am, but at the same time, I'm guessing the manufacturers have got to think that if you're willing to shell out $200 for a HOTAS, you're probably not playing on console. I mean, I know there's reasons to use console other than like affordability, but at the same time,
let's face it. If they sold the Warthog, if Thrustmaster sold the Warthog and the pedals that they've just done on console, there would be people that would buy them. I'm not saying
probably, yeah.
But their decision is it enough people to make the work that needs doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. Whereas
the answer to that is probably no. See, things like the HOTAS and the rudder pedals and all that kind of crap is, almost exclusive to simmers, and you're not going to find those on consoles.
Yeah. Whereas the T-Flight, they sell for about the same price as a standard Xbox or PlayStation controller.
Exactly. It's like $40 or $50 US for the PS. What's crazy
so
is
it's a price point that we're used to and comfortable with, right?
The PS4 version's $50 in the US, and the Xbox One version is $80. And I just wonder if that, I've always wondered if that's a Microsoft licensing thing, or if that's like why they're fleecing Xbox players.
I assume that's a Microsoft licensing thing.
I assume too. Right?
Yeah, that would that.
Yay, consoles! Console market is so great. I love it.
But I guess the main question now is, I mean, I'm pretty sure if Frontier had the option when they implemented this, the console to join the game as well, they would have made it cross-platform if it wasn't because of Sony. I just think they didn't want to leave the PS4 players out in the being on their own. Yeah, so that's why that they didn't cross-platform with the Xbox.
Well, I wonder, but I mean, PS4
and in fact,
so late.
And in fact, I believe at the time of the Xbox release, crossplay wasn't a thing with the Xbox. Correct me if I'm right.
No,
it might have been, yeah.
Wasn't it?
But still.
Was it? What with?
But the question, I think it's interesting if now that there's like a glimmer of hope that Sony maybe is going to open up to other games as well to allow cross-platform, if we're ever going to see it in Elite. And even if, let's say that Sony opens up to everybody and say, sure, now everybody, just do all the cross-platform you will, would Frontier then implement it?
Yes.
Well, I think the question would be, to answer that is, how difficult is it really to implement it on their side? If it's
they've stated officially that the problem, they are one of the developers that has been open in the fact that the problem is not at their end.
Okay.
Yes.
Frontier has been, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is not at their end. Yeah. It's limitations put in place by the platforms. Yeah.
Yay, consoles once more, people. Yay, consoles.
But, okay, one of the points is that we've seen before with stuff implemented into Elite, take the hot colors, for instance, where it was implemented in such a way that apparently it is not feasible for Frontier to make it changeable within the game, like with a cosmetic item.
Yeah.
So the question is, when they had implemented the console versions, did they just say, oh, well, it's not going to be cross-platform, so we're not going to make it easy for us to do it if we want to do it in the future? Because they could end up in a situation like with the hot colors.
I would argue that the answer to that is that we are already cross-platform. I think Frontier have pushed that further than any other game companies managed, because we do share the same universe. Yeah, I push on the BGS and on the PC, and the PlayStation and the Xbox get the same result.
Come on. That's not cross-platform.
No, it isn't cross-platform, but it does show that information is being exchanged across platforms already.
It shows that there's a central database that all platforms read from. That doesn't mean it's cross-platform.
No, but is there any other games that do that? There's a bunch of MMOs on consoles, and I don't think they share any background data.
Yeah, that's a good question. That I don't know. I don't play. I guess our chats can tell us.
There's things like Final Fantasy XIV, where it is truly, a single world server, but something like Star Trek Online doesn't, certainly. It's the fact that the BGS is shared shows that there is a certain element of information exchange going on already. Even if, as you say, it's just that it's pulling from a central server. Yeah. I suspect that answers all the questions. I think that the fact that Frontier have stated in the past that the problem is with the rules of the console makers, not at their end.
And that's the best part to hear of that, right?
Yeah. It's a feature that, and you know, I've heard that, and it's just a feature that if it becomes available, I can't see them not doing it. I think that it's something that they would kill to do.
Yeah.
And I think that the point about they could have brought this in with Xbox already, clearly. I think the point of leaving the PlayStation players in like their own little corner of the universe is, I get why they wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
All
But
PS4
still-
players
still,
are
I mean,
the point.
I get what you're saying, but at the same thing, Fortnite does that right now, right?
Yeah,
And there's no
yeah.
like backlash,
That
right?
Rocket League did that, and
Yeah.
no one really complained.
Right, no,
Again,
right.
So I'd say just turning on crossplay as much as you can would be a good thing in general, because
Absolutely.
again,
How is
you
it a bad
at least
thing?
I can't see any negatives to it. No, literally can't see any
Yeah.
downsides.
you're just
I
increasing the
wish they'd
positive
do it.
sides of the other.
Yeah,
people.
I wish
yeah,
they'd
if
do
you're
it.
envious about the other people, yeah, I guess sure, but still.
Take it up with Sony. Would have to be Frontier's line on it if they did, right?
But then
Yeah.
And
why
then
not make it
that
crossplay
then-
with Xbox? Come on, Frontier, you
Yeah, no,
want
that's
to.
what I mean. No, if they did that, then their line would have to be take it up with Sony to those that complained, right? Because it's kind of
Yeah.
it's in Sony's
Yeah.
hands rather than theirs. But for me, I think that it would see real cross-pollination of the communities, because there is a weird divide between console and PC players. And
There is definitely.
I'd love to see that just disappear. I really
Yeah,
would.
with Microsoft
I mean,
enabling
fuck it,
mouse and
we're all
keyboard, it seems like
gamers,
that's something
right?
that
We
could
like
probably
games.
happen. It looks like it's in Microsoft's interest to kind of go that way, really. Not so much Sony's, but certainly in Microsoft's interest. They get
And I think Sony
get a PC
has
and
been browbeaten into it.
Yeah.
A genuine, yeah. It's
for
just-
Microsoft to basically get a PC into each living room.
Yeah.
That's an advantage to them, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's, and as everybody said, I just can't see a negative, right?
Only-
At this
Any
point,
negatives?
basically, petition, Frontier to make crossplay at least as much as possible,
Oh, sure. 'Cause,
Or-
Frontier listens
or
to
you know
everything
what?
we petition.
You know what?
Sorry,
Make
sorry.
Linux. We need a
Cynical.
Linux
Stop.
version.
Yes, we need a Linux
Stop.
port. Come on.
If you think that the report,
Did
if you think
did
that the report on Fortnite's crossplay didn't raise some eyebrows at Frontier, I suspect they know and are watching this situation like hawks.
talking about
How the
Legion,
industry
raising
is.
eyebrows across the whole
It's not like they are the only ones, obviously.
Right, exactly.
talking
No,
about
no,
Elite on,
again,
Elite on
The
Linux. Did you
cage
guys?
gardens. Yeah. Oh, walled out gardens.
Only thing I
How
could
fun
see
is
perhaps
that?
being an issue might be instancing problems between the platforms, as there's already enough instancing problems as there
That's more
is.
to do with the net code rather than individual platforms, honestly. Because really, the only data that is being sent from person to person, oftentimes when it comes down to peer-to-peer stuff, is the locations, a specific place, or that being registered on the server, connection with the server as well. Little details, aside from, of course, the position that what type of ship, where it is, how it's turned, what damage, what details, and blah, 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 blah. Aside from all that, really, that's not that much, to be honest. That data, even especially today, with today's network speeds, it's not that much. When there are more people, of course, yes, then it's a bigger issue what it does. But honestly, I find the peer-to-peer system for Elite to be extremely flawed, and even as it is, it's not very stable now, is it?
Oh, totally agree with that.
And once more, I
Yeah,
kill the conversation.
Nick.
Yay!
I
Well-
don't tend to have instancing issues in groups up to 4. Like
Up to
with
4,
a
yeah, that's the
regular wing, I don't have instancing issues.
Have you tried
DJ.
to take on Dark Gods in multi-crew?
No, that's in a regular wing. Multi-crew is
Okay,
an
have you
entirely
tried to take up
separate
that
issue.
Multi-crew is a hot mess of
Yeah.
netcode.
I
Yeah.
have instancing problem. I have instancing problem with Wings of
God.
4 almost every day.
Really?
Surprised.
Constantly.
Wow. See, no, honestly, I don't get wing
It's
issues.
Do you play
as a
with
general
people
rule.
across the world or just in?
No, yeah, it does tend to be. If actually saying that, if we introduce anyone from Australia or New Zealand, it immediately falls apart. I will say
Oh
that.
wow, that sucks, Dick. I
Yeah.
understand why they have pretty shit connections, but still, goddamn.
Yeah, that's the
Goddamn,
thing
man.
that can cause that to fall apart. But yeah, as a general wing, we don't tend to. But then we do use wing beacons, pretty much constantly.
That has
So
nothing to do with it.
that
So,
I assume helps. But yeah.
Not really.
So yeah, people in my chat are saying that they have issues at that size as well. So I just seem
But
to be
honestly,
lucky.
I still seem I'm still fucking surprised that multi-crew as a fucking feature has not been dealt with at all, and yet they are still pushing out stuff for it. I mean, yeah, you're pushing out new stuff, and you need to attune the fact that multi-crew exists, and now you need to support it as well. Otherwise, it seems like you're abandoning it. But come on, Frontier, you had time. Fix the fucking thing!
So how long's multi-crew been around now? About a year, isn't it? Is it
Yeah.
about a
it's
year?
almost it's
2
almost
years.
It's been more than a year.
almost 2.
It's been that long?
Yeah.
Is it really true?
Right? I've said this multiple
Yeah,
times.
it's
18
been
months.
around.
18 months
Yeah,
ago
of course it
when
is. This time last year
Yeah.
was patch 2.4, wasn't it? That was Thargoid.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
18 months ago, if I'd have told you guys when we got multi-crew that, hey, guess what? You know, in the next 18 months, we won't get a single meaningful update to this at all. Would you have believed me?
I always feel the same with.
No.
I always feel the same with Horizons. It was 2015, December 2015. If anyone then
right.
had said 3 years later, and you're still not on atmospheric worlds, it'd still be the same planets.
That's right. That's
I don't think anyone would have
And
believed that.
actually, arguably uglier plan. I mean, the update in 3
Well, they
was
were
nice,
for a
but
while,
you look
but
at-
I think they're
well,
better now.
But you
but-
look at some of the features we had. You remember that planet that had that crater in it that had the spikes in it that was like 10 kilometers deep or something? It
Oh,
was
yeah.
incredibly
Yes,
cool.
yes.
And
Right?
those-
Like
those-
why
Yeah.
don't we have that shit? Right?
And
That,
those
like, that was
amazing-
awesome.
Cool.
There's some really great
Why-
green-looking ones as well. Do you remember seeing them?
Right. Yeah, like we've all been out, I think, to that canyon planet that's about 700 light
Yeah,
years out.
that's a really old
Unbelievably
one.
amazing, right? Like why is there like why is 0.0001% of the planets that cool, right? Like why does it not generate that every
Well-
20th planet?
Because
Okay,
Well, because
procedural
mathematically
generation.
and scientifically, those kind of planets are
I don't
aberrant.
care. It's a video game. Give me something cool to fun and play with.
Exegious, it's fine. Now, of course, remember, now, first of all, Elite Dangerous is created with the mindset of creating rather a future setting that is the more realistic take on the humanity.
Oh, I get
And
that.
with that ideal, I really do appreciate the ship designs a lot. Honestly, I really do. The way they went about it, and yes, of course, that's also part of the planet thing. They can't really put in extravagant things out there because, well, the general ideal and philosophy of the game is to put it in a more realistic take.
Yeah.
Though I agree, having a little bit more unique, at least at the very least, some tourist sites, some interesting places to visit, because this is
all
a
I'm
video
saying.
game, and eventually we need
Exactly.
something extravagant too.
I mean,
my
And not,
argument
and I'm
there
not
would
talking
be-
about the fucking
conclusion.
microtransactions, for fuck's sake.
No, I can take your argument to the next conclusion and say, well, then why do we have faster than light travel? Why do we have plasma? Why do we have all these plasma? Why do we have all these different things? And the answer is because it's a video game, right?
Yeah.
And giving
Space
us
Magic.
interesting things to look at versus, 2.5 years later, we still have basically brown planets to drive around on. They're completely featureless. That's the only point I'm making.
But it's
So-
not the first time we've seen this. I mean, we talked briefly about it before the stream. It's the same with Power Play. It's the same with SRVs. There are lots
course.
of things that has tremendous potential that
Yep.
they implement and then just go, ooh,
Yep.
new shiny stuff.
Almost.
And forget.
It does feel like it oftentimes.
I think
Unless
they're
it's
really great.
completely broke, they won't fix it.
I think
Or
they're
improvement.
really great at like checking things off the list, right? Like, okay, we've got power play, check. We've got engineers, check. We've got
Yeah, exactly.
planetary landings, check. And then that's off the list. We don't ever need to, even though we half-assed it, we don't ever need to come
See,
back and do anything.
I
And
would
so
have
finally
agreed
now,
with you
we're finally
before
getting there
Beyond.
with some exploration. Right?
Yeah, I would have agreed with you before Beyond. That's clearly been
Before
half
what
of
we've gotten in Beyond already, bullshit.
they've already, they've revisited engineering. They revisited crime and punishment. Yes, it's shit, but they did revisit it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. Yeah, I'm just pointing out that they did do it. Yeah, I'm not supporting the current crime and punishment system.
Exactly.
Features, one of which that was completely and totally broken.
No, but then you look at and they clearly announced that the main core of content and stuff that they were going to be doing was in patch 1 and 4 of this year. They delivered stuff in patch 1. Patch 4 they always said was the largest of the 4. They've now got that coming, yeah, and we judge them on that. But what we've seen so far, what they've said that is in that patch, we've seen the exploration rework, we've seen the mining rework, or we've seen about them. They are clearly looking at systems, and let's be honest, mining and exploration are far deeper ingrained into the game than engineering is. They are clearly revisiting the systems.
I also disagree with it.
One, I couldn't.
Yeah, but again, it comes back down to what you think or what you class the game as, doesn't it? If engineering is about combat, for a lot of people, the game's not about combat. It's about the background simulation. It's about going out and exploring. Some people might just want to mine. And
sure.
Yeah,
Right.
if you're looking at, like DJ trying to say, exploration is deeply ingrained into the game. In that sense, it's not a layer that's added on top of the game like mining, like engineers. In the sense that for mining, you've literally got to go out to these physical locations, these rings that are actual proper locations. Whereas when you're finding the engineering materials, they're things that are kind of artificially placed. If that makes sense, they're there, but they're sort of layers that have been added on. They could just easily be removed, and it'd make difference to the combat. It'd make difference to the engineering, but it won't make difference to the game world. Whereas with the mining, that's integrated directly into the world itself. It's integrated into the ring systems. It's a part of the physical world. I'm not sure if that's making sense. Tell me if I'm talking nonsense.
No. I think you're talking exact sense. Right, but I think to say engineering is not ingrained in the game is ridiculous. It could be more ingrained.
It's a core selling point of the Horizons.
Absolutely.
The thing with Horizons is that it's an expansion, right?
Yeah.
Basically, Frontier did the right thing about engineering as to make it basically a further upgrade path of the game, essentially just tacking on some more upgrades on it, which is a thing that often a lot of us want. I actually find engineering as an idea really good. The execution, though, my God, it's bad.
Why? What?
I really like it now.
Why?
I think it's
better than it used to be by far.
Engineering to you.
I really like it now.
Oh God, no. So the way engineering is right now, okay. So the reworked portion of engineering is okay. Yeah, the whole every time you roll, you upgrade it. Yeah, okay. It is acceptable and it's okay, fine. I like it to a point. The problem is that engineering is not only just doing the upgrades. Biggest portion of engineering is the material gathering, and material gathering is there just for engineering. Or at least it was until tech brokers or your personal narrative.
Disagree. Not true.
Okay.
Synthesis, I believe, was the first use of materials, not engineering.
Yeah, synthesis
Okay.
got
Yeah,
added
it was that,
in
yeah.
with the introduction of Horizon.
patch
All
2, yeah.
fine. Fair enough.
So
Okay, then
material
I'm wrong with
material gathering existed pre-engineers for a different reason.
that. But
And synthesis
but
is
an
a
incredibly
huge thing for a
tiny
lot of people.
engineer.
But then
Yamiks'
DJ
point is completely on track. Keep going, Yamiks.
But DJ, can you honestly tell me that they didn't plan to release something called Engineers
Oh, of course they did.
right after? So they did plan. Again, they introduced, just like right now, they are introducing portions of specific feature and then just tack on the next thing. They're first introducing materials and seeing how it works. Synthesis was relatively easy to put in place. Engineering was a whole new thing, and that came with its own little things. So materials were obviously quite designed in mind with the engineering. It wasn't like they one day thought up, oh, we have materials, we can put on engineering with it. No, it's clearly ingrained in it, and it is a huge part of it. And material gathering, I don't know if any of you guys would disagree, but I'd say it's horrible. And it's absolutely absurd.
Material gathering is the problem. Yep.
Oh, that's 100%. That's why I don't engineer.
High grade USS.
That's literally the reason I don't engineer. I just can't do the just can't do the material gathering.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
It just drives me crazy. It's not just partly it's the RNG, but it's not entirely that. It's also being forced to do things you don't necessarily want to be doing. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you know what? Here's a great example. Last night in my alt account, I needed to unlock Lee Chung. All right, so I had traded in 13 markets. So that's when you have to trade in 50 markets to do the other 37 markets. And I just bought 37 tons of cargo and jumped to 37 markets, trading them. Right, took me 4 hours and 45 minutes of something I detest doing. Right.
Well, that's like Celine Jean having to mine 500 tons just to
but you can do that. You can do that in about 2 hours. 4.5 hours to do those markets was absurd.
Yes,
well,
it's
still the point though. Like,
no, you're right, Proxim. You're right. But forcing me into doing something that takes me like an hour or so, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, right? Because up until then, all the other engineers I've been tracking, it's about 2 hours if you know what you're doing, right? But that one was, if start to finish, it would have been 6 hours for all of it. Now, I think most people...
I calculated it was 6.5 hours.
Yeah, okay. I think most people, like, naturally, like in my main account, when I got to Lee Chung, I'd already traded in 50 markets, so it was no big deal, right? So you can look at it from that way, but at the same time, forcing me into something if I absolutely don't want to do trade, and now it's going to take me that long, is a little silly, right? DJ, do you have your hand up?
I do. I really do.
Go
it's just an interesting question to gauge our involvement with this, because I think that our different opinions have part to do with that. So, how many engineered ships do you all have?
Oh, jeez.
I have parts. I have parts, mostly.
Do we count ships that we disassembled along the way? Because then
how many engineered modules do you have?
Modules?
Hundreds.
Close to 100.
Okay, even easier. Hang on, everyone's in game. I can do this even easier. Go into your right-hand panel. Go to statistics.
I'm in my alt account, so I know my stat though.
Right. Okay. So, how many grade 5 rolls have you done? That might actually be a better way of judging
under what
this,
engineering?
right?
I'll go last.
Crafting. Yeah, it's under crafting and statistics. I've done 134 grade 5 upgrades.
Okay. But you've done Felicity to grade 5.
I've done 1,534 grade 5 upgrades.
I'm on my.
Oh, okay, good.
Because we had this conversation.
Can we pass this to the chats as the relevant chats?
Yeah.
Can we pass this out? Yeah. Can everyone that's in game at the moment have a look at that panel for us and tell us how many grade 5 rolls you've done?
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
One of the very few features I envy you guys.
Yeah, give us the link. I'll send it to my chat.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Put it in chat, Obsidian, and we'll send it. I think that's a great one to share.
Definitely.
I'm going to go last because you guys are going to laugh at my number.
Oh, it's thousands.
But Exigius, then you did engineer in the old system too, quite a lot.
No, I know, but I've got a mix of new and old.
I got someone in my chat that says he's done 5,889 G5 rolls.
Really, that's nice. He's getting close to me.
Good
Okay,
lord.
my alt account doesn't really have over 100 grade
Yeah,
5s.
mine
Actually,
either.
you know, fuck it. I'm just gonna switch accounts real quick. I'll see. I'll be going last then.
So
Sorry.
right now on my spreadsheet, I have 585 grade 5 modules with 325 of them full max with experimentals. And last time I looked, I was over 9,000 grade 5 rolls.
Jesus Christ.
And that's
So-
PvP person. Someone from the
I get
PvP side of things.
I mean, and that's a big part of it, right? And I'll admit to being a min maxer as well, right? But yes, it's a lot of it's PvP.
A lot of people are min maxing. Well,
okay,
they might not
Lyle-
always go for it, but or rather,
Now-
not
my-
always.
my
Now,
chat-
my
thrive in it, but-
question, though,
4,500.
my question to you is, Aegis, is that going to be pre-engineer rework or?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of it was pre, but if I look at my spreadsheet, I've got 285. I call them grade 6 on my spreadsheet, meaning they're fully maxed in the new engineering grade 5.
Mhm.
I've got 285 that are full grade 5, right? And then the other 400 or so are all grade 5, but pre-grade 5, right? Like stuff like, where I have like just a jump a conda where I did a grade 5, a single grade 5 roll on on like a lightweight light support, right? Something like that. I don't need to be min-maxed, but I want it to be kind of nice, that kind of thing.
All right. Okay. So for me, grade 5s, 680, and the thing is, I tend not to do that much engineering, surprisingly.
Right,
But
so-
600, well, almost 700.
And
So-
shockingly, on stream right now, I'm doing material gathering. Right?
So we've
I'm going
only got limited
to-
options on the poll thing. So I've put the first option 1 to 100, second option 101 to 500, 501 to 1,000, then 1,001 to 2,000, and 2,000 plus. I haven't confirmed
Sure.
that yet. So if you
Yeah,
think
sure.
that works,
Can you
I think
add
that's a
one
good-
more option?
we can have 5
Or is
options and
that-
that's it. I did want to put
Come
0
on,
on there,
straw
but
poll. Use straw poll. Straw poll can have up to 30.
let's go for straw
No,
poll.
but
then.
that's enough. You don't need to go nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah,
need to be
no,
too
that's
precise.
enough. It would have been nice to add in a 250 point, perhaps, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Not necessary.
It gives us an idea, right?
Yeah.
Right, just posting that now then. So for everyone in chat, there's a poll on my community section on my YouTube channel.
Click
Just so you
on
can answer the
time,
question there
time
for-
thingamajig and send us the link.
Yeah, exactly. Is it on your community
Just gonna
tab?
put that there. It's under the community tab. I'll link it in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if you want to go and answer the question, everyone, about how many G5 rolls you've done.
So to further on from this, the reason I ask that is to judge whether the amount that people dislike the engineering process is in relation to how much they do it, which I suspect it is. If you only do a little bit of it, it's actually quite fun. If you do shit tons of it, it's really, really annoying. The other thing that I sort of want to go to with this is material gathering the problem? Or is it the fact that material gathering is completely and totally RNG based for most things? Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with material
That is
I mean,
part
that is the
of the
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
That is part of the
If there were, if you knew, as an example, that if you went to an anarchy system that's in outbreak, you knew that if you killed the ships in that system that are running like refugee missions or running medical supplies in or whatever, yeah, you knew that they would drop a specific thing. Yeah,
But
you still
that
have to
is
go and
kinda how
do
it
the
is.
action. Yeah, is that precisely how it is? Because that's
Yeah,
less.
so for most manufactured materials, if you need
Yeah.
a specific grade 5, when you go to the system that has the correct state or has the correct government, and you know your high grades is going to give it. Now, high grades is
Right.
a pain to
But
get,
that's the problem. Exactly. You have
But
to find.
High grade's not the only one, though.
but
But it's one of the problems.
So no, that's what I'm talking
It's
about.
one of the bigger
If you
ones,
knew
yes.
that it was going to drop a specific material, I'm not talking it can drop from a range. and a
No, it
range
always
of-
drops from a
yeah.
range, but there's a higher probability. Like, so for example, if you're looking for core dynamics composites, those drop in election state, right? Or
Mhm.
none state, right? If you go to a
Right.
boom state, you can still get them, but you'll more than likely get protolites or protoradiolics,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if it's Federation, right? So there's a whole grid of it, right? That you figure out where things.
So
are
if
gonna
that grid was more obvious,
be. If that grid was
do you
more
think
obvious, And
That
the
would
drop
help.
rate, the spawn rate for high grades is also the problem, right? Because if you go to like Seoul, generally I've been to Seoul and I'll get spawn rates of high grades about every 5 minutes. But I've been to Seoul in times, and again, it didn't boom or none stay. I've been to Seoul in times where literally they don't spawn for 45 minutes.
And this is the actual USS, the high grade.
Exactly, the high grade USS, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
you're sitting there, and it's also the high grade. You know, the whole problem with high grades is you see USS, you lock it, you spend time pointing at it. Nope, not a high grade. And then you're sitting there, you go back to watching your movie. There's another one you line up for it, not a high grade. You go back
So
to
that's
your movie. And you do that for
something-
fucking 45 minutes, and you want to shoot yourself.
So that's
Yes.
something that's
The last
going to
45
be
minutes.
different. That's something that then is going to be very different with the new
Yes, it is.
USS system.
Well, what I worry
Yeah,
with the
very
new, what I
different.
worry with the new one, with the fact that they'll be persistent, is now the way we're going to farm things is you find a system. Let's use Soul for example again, and say it's spawning core
they're
dynamics,
not.
right?
No, they're not persistent. They do have timers on them that run out.
Well, I know, but they're
They're
going to
not.
be in. But yeah, but okay. But I mean by persistent, you jump in the system. There's going to be a high grade there, right? So you jump in the system, you fly to the high grade. So that takes you, let's say, if it's 500 light seconds away, that takes you a couple minutes to get there, dropped in, right?
Yeah.
You farm it, you high wake out, you high wake back in, you fly to it, you drop in, you farm it, you high wake out. Yeah, I mean that's going to be our new game loop, which is still shit, right? There needs to be a non-USS way to get these things.
So
yeah, that's what you got.
Oh,
sorry, I just saw Yamiks had his hand up.
I apologize. I'll shut up.
No, it's great.
Right. So, DJ, tell me, with this whole thing, yes, right. You were right. Yeah, in a way, if you were to predict these things a little bit more, that'd be help. Sure.
Yeah.
In the
No,
system
I was
that
asking.
it is currently. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
In that system that exists already, that would help. But that system in of itself, at the best case, is garbage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's bottom line. The problem is, for combat, the core dynamics material thingamajig that you need to get. How do you get it? By sitting in Super Cruise for hours on hours, masturbating or doing what the fuck else you want. And how does that fucking gameplay associate with the fucking combat, goddammit?
So the thing.
100% right.
Rage.
So surely the solution for me anyway, the solution to this, and this has been my thing for a while now, and I'm going to keep banging on this drum and beating this dead horse, is
Yay!
they need to improve the exchange rates at the material trader.
That's one of them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fix, for
Absolutely.
fuck's
No, but it-
sake.
no, it's
No,
not-
it's a
yes,
patch,
it's not
but it would
fixed.
help, wouldn't it?
But it would help
It would.
massive. If grade 5
It
to
would
grade
help a
5
lot.
was a 2-to-1 instead of 6-to-1.
What if
which
it
is
was
ridiculous.
1-to-1?
Oh, okay, fine. But I'm
1-to-1?
okay with there being a little bit of a cost. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
Okay.
Right.
I was gonna say 1-to-1 would be like my wet dream.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
yeah,
But
of
what if
course,
it
right.
was 1-to-1?
Oh, it'd be fantastic, right? And and look,
Yeah.
if you guys remember, I pitched this idea last week, right? Instead of missions giving us 5 biotechs or 5 exquisite focus crystals,
Give
it
us
gives us a
credits.
voucher to
Yeah.
go to the material trader and take 5 of whatever the fuck we want, right? Or
Yep.
15 grade 4s, or whatever the math would be for the lower grades, right?
Yeah.
That
Like, here's
makes
your
sense,
trading certificate, right? Now you can do what you want to earn the material that you need, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to spend that time.
I think that's the
floating
problem,
around
is that
and
exactly they don't want you
supers.
doing that. They want you doing set gameplay loops.
Yeah, and you're
They want
and
to
I
force you
get
into that.
that
And
too. And
yeah, I think that's the.
when
I
that
think.
set game. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like it. That's why I don't do engineering.
No, I
because
know.
of that.
Well, and exactly right. And but you know what? I kind of get the wanting us to engage in the whole game. That's why
Yes.
I, for the most part, don't complain about the engineering unlocks, with the exception of Lee Chung last night. Right, but for the most part, I think those are okay.
I was about.
But
to
what
say
really
that,
gets
but
me
that's
about
what they
the-
do with the unlocks. They introduce you to the different gameplays.
They do.
They do,
I'm
yeah,
fine
yeah.
with
And that
right?
I'm
That's how you
okay
do it.
with engineering having that as part of its
Me
loop. That
too,
it
me too.
introduces you to different
Me
things
too.
and says.
Yep.
But what Ant is saying is completely correct. It then
100%.
forces you
100%.
into, or if you don't, you do what I do and you spam missions until you've got 100 grade 5 focus crystals and 100 biotech and whatever,
And you go
then
trade.
you go and trade and
Yeah.
lose most of them.
Yep,
What,
exactly.
what really gets me
Go.
though is the
And-
RNG. Yeah, I mean, you get that in a lot of games with loot drops, RNG. But the way I always think about it is, if you go in a game like World of Warcraft or any other of those type of online games, and you go out, you decide to do a bit of mining, So you look for copper, or you want to pick up a certain herb. So you look for a certain flower, and I can't even remember the name of the herbs that are in there. Sunbloom or something, is it?
Jesus.
But you say you go to a
Go,
copper,
go, go, go.
you go to a copper node, yeah, and you start mining that, and then suddenly diamonds drop out of it. Then you hit it again, and gold drops out of it, and you hit it again, and tin drops out of it. That'd be nuts, wouldn't it? If you just had to keep going until you finally got copper out of the copper node, and that's how it is in Elite, and it just doesn't make any sense to me that it is that way.
Yep, I will agree 100% on that one.
For me, what doesn't make sense more often also is the whole blueprints in general. I mean, I did investigate a little bit into this, and I did note what type of gameplay you need to do for each type of upgrade. And FSD is a rather interesting one because you in the first grade you need to just turn in one of the gameplay tokens from scanning wakes. Okay. The second rank is by driving on planets. Okay, for FSD, that can make sense. Okay. The third rank asks you to go and get gameplay tokens, aka materials, from destroyed transport ships. And I'm just scratching my head and thinking,
What's that got to do with an FSD?
yeah, I get it that you want to force the player to do different things, which is a good thing. That's what you do as a designer. You need to encourage players with your gameplay to do different types of gameplay, which is fine. But when that fucking thing repeats so many times, and especially the high-grade missions and a few other ones, it smells both of lack of imagination, capability, or just simple planning. And I'm just thinking, are you really that blind? Haven't you really thought this through? But anyways, that's just maybe me.
No, it's
Well,
Hey, Frontier!
No, I feel the same. It doesn't. No, there's no logic to it. And yet, in other areas of the game, everything's bound by
How can you
science and logic,
call
isn't
yourself
there?
a fucking game designer if you do this sort of shit in the first place?
So,
I mean, like-
Exegius, go. Oh, yeah.
No,
No,
no.
go.
If you have a question.
Oh no, I was trying to lead you in.
Oh, thank you. I get why USSs exist, and it's not that I want them to go away, right? Because I get the argument that they make things feel alive, and you see random stuff, right?
They are random encounters.
Right,
That's all they
and
are.
I remember when I first started playing, like my first 10, 15 hours, right, doing black box delivery missions, right? Or
Me
the
too, me
black
too.
box recovery missions, right? And I
Right.
remember thinking, it can't be that I just have to fly around and wait for this to pop up. Surely, and I was honking my discovery scanner over and over because I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be something I do. Like, how do I scan this planet? How do I scan for this, right? And I remember just being so confused at how this worked, right? And so the point that I was really trying to lead to is, I remember in Astro, correct me if I'm wrong, that you had a video, I think it was back when like 3.1 dropped, that at the unknown installations, you could get shit tons of grade 5 materials. Right, it was great actually because you could do combat. They spawned exquisite focus crystals, pharmaceutical isolators. I mean, all kinds of shit that you basically cannot get anywhere but high grade USSs, right? And that got quote unquote fixed, right? So now that's gone again, and you're lucky if you farm a Type 9 there that every 3 or 4 times you kill it, you'll get a single or maybe 2 grade 5s of something. Right, and why these things aren't just all over the place, and why, again, we keep beating this, but why you're forced to do unknown signal sources, like Yamiks said, we have to sit here in Super Cruise, staring at our screen. Like, this is gameplay. I mean, I posted my video to my chat one night. It took me an hour and a half to find 2. Right, like I watched a whole movie in the time I found like 12 core dynamic composites. Right? It's
bad.
Ridiculous. Right, yeah, I mean, we all joke that Elite's the game. I mean, I've never seen a game like it where you have to do something to entertain yourself while you play, right? And with things like long-range passenger missions, like the Rhea stuff, I get that, right? It's just, I mean, if you're flying somewhere that's 1 million light seconds away, that's going to take an hour and a half. Well, all right, I can accept that, right? What I can't accept is the mechanic of USSs and other gameplay where I literally just have to sit there.
Exegius. I'm gonna be quick. Hey, CGS, that's the high grade immersion for you. That was from my chat. Sorry. Carry on.
I can't even type immersion without hearing you say that, by the way.
So, the funny thing is, I do actually know another game that is similar in that respect,
Do tell.
and that's Euro Truck Simulator and its offspring.
Does it
you
ask you to
The
collect?
no, please. The amount of people that I know, myself included, who when they play that game, do it because it's something to do whilst listening
Sure.
to a podcast.
And that's fair.
Yeah. And something to essentially engage their hands whilst they're listening to a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, I think Elite has that. The Elite can be that. It doesn't have to be, but it can be.
Totally. And, you know, my point to your point, DJ, like when I said about like long-term passenger missions, long-haul trading maybe, or long exploration where you're jumping and stuff, I really do have no problem with that part of it, right? But when it's like, again, me as a combat pilot, and that's what I want out of the game, and I'm doing something so I can build myself a combat ship, and I'm forced into doing Euro Truck Simulator to do that, that's where it gets broken.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Yeah, I think,
down to earth.
I think we all agree.
Yeah.
What you got?
So I guess for me at least, the whole thing comes down to the fact that there's always only one method that's really effective for each material. I mean,
That's right.
we had it a little bit with the unauthorized installation, where suddenly there was actually a second place where you could go. I mean, if you didn't like race, well, you had another option. And of course, yes, as you said, that got quote unquote fixed. I feel like that Frontier's approach whenever these kind of things pop up is that suddenly there's some gameplay that allow people to get something in a way that maybe weren't intended, and then they say, oh, that's not how we want it, and we're gonna remove it. And instead of saying, oh well, people really seem to enjoy this, maybe we should give people, I don't know, 2-3 options that are about equal, and before people begin posting somewhere in chat saying, oh, but you can still get grade 5 from killing ships, and yes, you can, but it's not very effective compared
Not
to
even remotely efficient. Yeah.
exactly. It's compared to performing high grades, it's not effective. Because if you really enjoy combat, if you enjoy PvE, sure, you can sit in a conflict zone for a few days and get the materials you need, and you might have enjoyed that. But if you just want the materials, you just want them now, well, there's one thing to do, and that is find something interesting on Netflix and find some high grades.
That's right.
And I would really
Like,
love
I just want to get the shit done, right? Like, I just want to build a ship and go to do what I want to do with it, right? Not like you said, not wait 2 weeks or 20 hours of gameplay to get it, you know, to finally get it out of combat, right?
You should encourage your players to attempt different gameplay in a positive way.
That's exactly
not
the thing, isn't it?
forcing them.
Yes, encourage the players, not force them. Exactly. Yep.
That's a great way to put it, actually. Yeah.
Guess what happens with the fucking personal narrative, the tech brokers? Why people dislike it? Why? Do you need to ask why? It's because you're forcing them to do it.
Right. You know, Yamiks, I'll admit that I wanted to make time this morning to watch it before the stream, but I haven't gotten to see your Ship Launch Fighter review yet. I've been dying to watch it.
It's the most positive fucking thing ever. Seriously, I fucking love those fighters, and they are solid. The experience to get them, to play with them, always will be solid by the fact that I had... Yeah, because I had to grind for them.
The only way I will ever fly them is if I'm in multi-crew in someone else's ship.
But the thing is...
That's the only way I'll ever fly them.
But the thing is, I feel so fucking sad because I have to say that, because I know that artists actually put an effort in it. I respect that. I love that, and I encourage it. But I just can't but to just go and say, but this is because of the personal narrative. It's so depressing that I have to do that. I want to reward and say that I love this, but I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, carry on. Sorry, whoever probably down to earth. Sorry, Astro, I interrupted.
No, I think I got my point through, but.
And yeah, the Guardian things are a perfect example. The absurdity of, like, how many of the Epsilon data do you need to get the 3 fighters?
Oh god,
26 per.
Yeah, 26 per ship.
That's,
Yeah,
what,
26
that's
per.
well over.
It's easily
That's
at the
just
best
under
case,
80.
start to finish. It's lucky if you
78,
can do it
yeah.
in an hour and a half. Yeah, it's 78 for all three.
It's not hour and a half. I
lucky.
timed
Lucky.
it. I fucking timed it, and I got about 52 of them. That is for 2 fighters in about 3 hours.
Okay, I got
So
lucky,
that's-
and I got 50 of them in about 90 minutes.
Yeah, see,
And
that's
is
the other
that-
thing,
but
though,
again,
isn't it,
like,
about
it's-
RNG? There's how different
Yes,
the time is
yes.
for one person to another.
Yes.
You get other
And
people,
then-
then someone else will come on and say, well, I did that in half hour. What's the problem? What are you moaning about?
Yeah. And then the next question to that is, and what was your methodology for that? Were you basically board flipping? Were you sitting there respawning the
Yes.
instance
Right,
by jumping
right,
out and jumping
right,
in?
right.
Oh, what engaging gameplay.
Exactly.
Right?
Right. And
It's
not-
so great.
yeah.
I love it. I
There
love
are-
it so much. I want to castrate myself with
Well,
a rusty
yeah.
spark.
I just will not do them. Yeah?
I get why you wouldn't. I get why you
will
wouldn't.
not do them. Yeah, I just won't. I desperately want those fighters. Like, the moment I saw them, I was like, Elite's got a TIE Defender. I want it.
Oh, yeah. They're
Yeah,
especially in VR, they're fucking awesome to fly.
right. And then I saw the requirements and was
Yeah.
like, oh. Don't get me wrong, I knew that you'd have to do some stuff to get them. That's cool. Got no issue with that, right? But no. I refuse to grind this game, and this is the grindy, this makes the grinding required to do engineering, even when using the material trader, look pathetic. This is
And
horrible.
and when we talked about, and I agree that we can move on, but like the material trader thing, I think it's one of those things that would be such an easy thing for them to change, right? That I don't see why they wouldn't, right? Like,
Retention?
you said
I'm
that
cynical.
before, but- No, I get
know.
what you're saying, but to me, I guess I buy the if things like that were better and people could engage in more of engineering and engage in more gameplay because of it, right? The results of it, I think that would lead to the retention personally, right? Now, I'm not a market analyst, so I can't really say, but
There is again, that the psychological aspect of the game that when you finally reach the goal that you have, you tend to forget the horrible and boring and other bad things that you've gone through to get that. It's again, I
That is the
talked
thing.
about this last week as well. So it's a psychology. If you read about even gambling. Gambling would be a good example as well on this one, because we're talking about RNG and gambling is very close to it. So yeah, in games though, in normal rewarding games, you tend to get developers that go around while they do use random generation to produce some sort of maybe unpredictable level of results. They also take in count that from X amount of randomly generated numbers, you would set in some rules to prevent extraordinarily long times between specific results. So you would have the minimum, and you would have the maximum amount set as a range in which you would get the potential reward or something else. In Elite, with high-grade emissions especially, it seems to be that there's none of that.
No.
And no one really seemed to have given a fuck.
There's quite a
was
lot of
just like-
games that do something like that, isn't there? I think Diablo
Oh,
did that,
no,
didn't they? After so long, the chances of certain things dropping increase. Yeah.
There is that, yes, but again, it's putting in variables, if statements, and other things to prevent either a player spending too much time doing something and rewarding him for just finally rolling that unsuccessful roll and just giving him the reward because he already spent the time. So let's just be merciful. Elite, it doesn't seem that to be the case. I don't know.
Can I just... Can
Go.
yeah.
What?
Before I change the subject,
I was about to say, I just want to end this on, the funny thing is, if the fighters were a reward for doing a mission chain that took in 2 or 3 of the Guardian sites and you did all the stuff that you do throughout the Guardian thing, wouldn't our reaction be different?
Oh,
I want quests. Yes.
right? Wouldn't that be
Unless the
amazing?
quests are all the same.
Yeah, that sort of thing. If structured correctly, you can write it so that it makes sense that everyone's doing it. Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yep.
And for me, that would be the way to do this sort of thing. You wouldn't even mind if you had to do that chain once per fighter, right? You'd be like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, depending on the length of it, and
Yeah. Two or three sites,
No.
that you pointed out and told, go here, do this.
Yeah.
it also depends on how fun that.
I
chain
prefer
is.
unique
yeah.
themes.
Yeah.
I prefer unique themes.
Yeah,
Oh, I agree with you too.
But
Yamiks.
but let's be honest. Most MMOs, when you finish a mission quest, they're
Yeah,
like, "Would you
that's
like
true.
this reward or this reward?" Yeah, and that is to convince you to go back and get the other reward, right?
Or have a dilemma.
Or
There's
have a
also
dilemma.
that.
Yeah.
In Warcraft, actually, World of Warcraft, you have that. And it's wonderful to have it.
Where it's like you can
In
only
somewhere.
have one.
Yeah.
That can
Well,
be a
I mean,
bit
okay,
harsh
for-
though over time because it can turn out that one's better and people that took the
Yeah,
wrong choice.
depending on
that.
the-
Yeah. But
So for this game, maybe not.
to lead into something far better, Ixie, you want to bring something up, don't you?
Well, no, yeah, I'm going to change the subject here. If you're
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Basically, and I'm gonna kick it to Astro first, since it was really his idea, which was rather than we've been salty for an hour here, and and I'll also say, guys, for those that have watched a lot, that like, to clarify, we are salty because we love, right? I mean, like we all, if we all didn't love this game to an unbelievable level,
This is
you
not
guys
the
would-
shill podcast.
right? You guys would not know who we are, right? Like if we didn't care, you wouldn't know who we are. You wouldn't be sitting here listening to us, right? So just to clarify that. So, but to take things in a more positive way, Astro had the suggestion, and I'm going to let him take it first. Of let's talk about the things that we love, either in I guess specifically with chapter 3 that we've gotten so far, right? The things that we feel like have been a step in the right direction, right? I think that would be interesting to go around and everybody and see what everybody's take is.
Yeah, I
Wanna kick
think.
us off, Astro?
Yeah, I
sure.
can kick it off. I think the best change that they made was the quality of life changes they implemented back in the 3.0 update, so at the beginning of the chapter, referring to the material storage for engineering materials, and what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the removing RNGs from engineering, making it a little bit more predictable. Those two changes, I think, has been one of the best changes they made in this chapter so far, because it was very needed quality of life updates, and I would love to see more quality of life stuff like that coming in the future. I mean, I can recall how I remember sitting there thinking, oh, okay, so if I throw like 10 of these out, I should have enough to get a decent roll, and then I can still get these, and I don't have to go to the engineer twice, and oh my god.
Yeah.
That
Just shows how poorly thought out the original engineering was, especially with the fucking commodities. Holy fucking
Oh
spanking
god!
fetus on fire.
Oh my god!
I mean, can
Right.
you recall 1,000, and that was it? 1,000 of and that was one common pool for all of them.
500 data. Right?
Yeah, 500 data.
Oh, you don't need data that much, but still, yeah.
But still, it was ridiculous. You
Yeah,
used to
it was
throw
a little
shit
ridiculous.
away, right? Because it was like, what am I going to throw away so that I can use, that I can keep what I really need, right? I'd say for like to continue the trend we're on here, for me, like, I would agree absolutely 100% with both things that Astro just said, right? I think both have been huge steps in the right direction. I think that for me, I'll admit, like when the first engineering changes were proposed, I was pretty down on let me explain this as I say it, the non-randomness of the engineering roles, right? Because to me, the problem with engineering wasn't the randomness of the roles. That was a symptom of the problem of being unable to collect things easily, right? If we'd have been able to collect things this is maybe too much, but at 10 times the rate we had before, I don't think the randomness would necessarily been as big a problem. And what I kind of liked about it was the uniqueness it gave, right? In terms of, like, I remember Minnie was on my stream the other night and was talking about, like, he was trying to break the jump distance record, right, and had some kind of plan for how he was going to do it, right. And I said, well, okay, that's great and all, but it's not like that record's meaningless now, because if I get your build in a few hours, I can go do the exact same thing. Where that used to be something that was meaningful. Right now, at the same time, well, let me finish. At the same time, I will now completely eat those words a little bit and say the end result of what we have now, right, which is we've got balance to a large degree in the ships, right? You've got, there's not as big a guessing game in terms of, like, do I really need that secondary? Do I really need to roll for this? Do I need to wait for that? It's just, you go do your work and you're done and you can get back to playing. I think it was definitely a step in the right direction, right? Because when it comes down to it, I think a lot of people with the old system, a lot of times would blame, like, oh, the way he killed me because his ship was better engineered or better built than mine, right? When in my strong opinion, the reality is I've never once lost a fight because the other guy's ship was better. I lost a fight because he was better. And 99.99% of the time, that is the case. But I think mentally removing that and just knowing that, okay, my ship is done. It's as good as it basically can be. It's as good as it is. I don't have to spend any more time wondering or worrying about it. To me, that was a very positive change.
So I'm torn. I have two things, and they've both changed the way that I play Elite. First of all, the wing missions. I adore them. I really
weren't wing missions introduced before?
They were introduced in the first part of the first patch of Beyond.
Yeah, that is right. 3.0. My very first video was actually on
Would you like a very brief overview of the 3.0 patch, just to remind us?
Oh God, go for it.
There was a shit ton in it. I'll tell you.
I have the patch.
It might be helpful for me because I have to be honest. I don't really remember what came in. What patch.
Neither do I.
Right. Okay. So 3.0 had the crime redo and everything associated with it. It brought in wing missions. The whole mission depot thing. Alongside that, it also brought in the reward choice for missions, allowing you to take in materials and that sort of thing.
That's right.
Then ships, there were the new alien attack craft. I believe that was the Scouts? Question mark?
Yeah, I think.
Yep.
Were Scouts introduced earlier?
I thought Scouts were 3.1.
They may have been,
that's
actually.
why I said
But-
question mark.
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay, fair enough. We've gotten Scouts, since
it was a Thargoid of some kind was introduced in 3.0 anyway. Added the Chieftain. Also, the Keeley was finally freed. And the Killback supported multi-crew.
And the Chieftain for me, that became my main combat ship, so I'm definitely with you on the Chieftain.
So there were the Galaxy map changes to bring more data in about, allow more trade data to be displayed on the Galaxy map. The Engineers rework. The weapons, the tech brokers were introduced, and their first bunch of stuff, the shot cannon, the flechette launcher, the enzyme missiles, the meta-alloy hull reinforcements, and also the Recon Limpet controller was introduced. Galnet audio became a thing. Installation and megaship interactions happened, which are pretty neat, let's be honest. The surface material system was overhauled somewhat. They added a load of quality of life features, synthesis for tech broker, and AX weapons, some Kovas stuff.
The new planets.
new planets. Don't forget that.
Was that? Oh, that was listed in Surface Material System, and it's so I thought that would have a section to itself, and it didn't. It's the coloration of surfaces now more clearly telegraphs the chemical makeup and volcanic activity of the world, and improved contrast and coloration variation across and between bodies. Basically, the planets no longer look shit.
They look just less shit.
No, they are. I like them. They're
more
realistic.
just darker.
They're realistic as a general.
Okay, more realistic shit. Okay, good.
Yay!
The
We're
ignore
being
target.
Positive now, Yamiks.
The ignore target.
Oh, it's brown. What do you want from me? God damn it!
The ignore target feature for materials
Oh,
and commodity
yes.
collectibles was
Yeah, that's-
added, which is
that's
a
actually pretty
huge.
good.
That was a huge.
That
thing.
was a good one.
Increased maneuverability benefits when boosting based on the engineering pips. On the engine
good
pips.
Pips.
That was a good balance.
Option added so players can now choose how flight controllers address them. Commander name, ship name, or ship ID when approaching a station. Nice for role players. Ability to see at a glance the quality and inventory quantity of materials targeted. Per material storage caps. That's another massive thing, right?
That was completely agreed. That was a massive one.
Increased rewards at search and rescue contact, and high value super cruise targets for pirates to raid. Large number MISC features, large number of Commander Journal updates. Consoles got Portuguese language support and 11 new achievements for the Xbox One.
Oh, yes, the
Okay.
achievements. That's good.
Yeah, achievements.
Yeah,
so
that's
important.
There were also over 1,000 bug fixes that I am not going to. So I've got the 3.1 patch notes. I haven't got 3.2, but
1,000 bug fixes in my UI. is
Just
still
go to
working.
that whole forum thread there. That big forum thread.
Well, to summarize 3.1 very quickly, you had new wing missions, the mining ones in particular, high threat USSs, and missions that direct players to them. Mega ship and installation interactions were expanded. Crime and punishment got a slight retwig. Some new tech broker weapons, the plasma shot cannon, the shard cannon, and the plasma launcher. The Guardian FSD became available, a booster became available, and the Challenger and Crate Mark II.
It's a lot of stuff.
That
So-
FSD boost.
I would actually like, Yamiks, can we just try to pull you out of your comfort zone? What was your favorite thing that's been added in this year so far?
My comfort zone? Why does everyone think that my
Well
comfort
put.
zone is not saying good
Well
things?
put, Astro. Because it's not.
That's a.
Because it's...
How's it's not?
We should put up a poll asking, do you think that that's in Yamik's comfort zone or not?
It's
answer
like
is no.
you guys know what I feel. I mean,
I mean, same thing. Like I said before, we all know that just like us, you absolutely love the game. If you didn't, you wouldn't be sitting.
no, I
This-
absolutely
yeah,
don't love the game. I just like it.
You know what? This reminds me of when you were on the stage at Fantasticon and Zach
Yeah.
asked you what's the greatest thing about Elite.
I love
you
how
s-
your mind
and
went
you
to
sat
the
and
same
squirmed,
place as
didn't it?
me.
Okay, the same thing. I'm like,
What was the fill the rest of us in? What was the answer? What happened?
Yeah, I want to know.
Finish
He
that story.
sat there and squirmed for a good few seconds and then was.
I didn't s-
"Yeah,
oh,
you
well.
did squirm.
You squirmed.
You didn't want to answer. Oh,
What?
what
No,
did
no,
you
no, no,
answer?
no.
You
Okay,
did-
so
you
to
did-
tell
you
the
did have an
story,
answer. You did have an answer, though. And now I
Yeah,
can't
right,
remember
so
what it
to
was.
tell the story there, basically, I got the question asked. Now I barely could hear what the people were saying. First things first. After I heard the question, there it was like, now what to choose? I seriously, it was again. Yeah, I do play up things right now, even right, and the whole thing. It might sound like squirming, but honestly, all I'm doing is just thinking. Okay, so I made the top 10 list of best things in Elite. Now, which one to choose to say, or rather, which one I remember. Now, I wanted to say music, but the one thing that I said there was the interaction with your ship is the thing that I really like, and I still do. The fact that you don't need to switch to another window or need to open another menu to interact with your ship. That is the wonderful thing, the most awesome thing that I've seen, in a game, well, modern game, because every other game that you see often is just you press a button, another menu opens on your screen, and it's not in a game world. And that is what I fucking loved in the first place about the Elite. Oh, aside from the... oh, wait, no, my answer was the ability to interact with your ship in such a detail. That was my answer, not... But still, the UI is also a fucking good thing. Now, it glitches out oftentimes, but regardless, it's not a thing that does happen that often. Still, as for the best thing in the in Beyond, I'd say generally the thing that has worked out the best, or rather has been the biggest step towards the right direction, was engineering. Honestly, it changed from a fucking slot machine, a fucking gambling machine, to an actual thing that is usable for a game to be, predict at least some sort of result. So that was a good thing, and everything that came along with engineering. That is, of course, the storage for gameplay tokens. That was a nice thing. Again, the storage for materials. Yeah, whatever. Let's see. A crate was a fucking awesome ship. Even though you might think that I hate it in general, I do still hate the color inside, and I hate the wires and what it else. Doesn't make sense lore wise and all that stuff because it's a new ship. But even so, now Crate is a fucking awesome ship. That's literally, I mean, it's a fucking Python, yeah, and building something that even looks better than fucking Python, in general sense, aside from the cockpit, is a good thing in my opinion. And the trailer was also quite interesting and funny to parody. So let's see what else. In this Beyond, quality of life improvements weren't that many. Honestly, the most came basically at the start of the year, and nothing else really came out of it much later on. There was like one or two of them, but they were so fucking gettable that I don't even remember. Guardian fighters, they look awesome, they sound awesome, they feel awesome, but they are basically shit to use, and they are tainted by the fucking personal narrative. So I can't really say that that's the best thing, unfortunately.
When you say shit to use, do you mean to get?
Function wise, they're too weak. They overheat. Again, they do feel experimental, sure, but the problem is, unfortunately, that even experimental stuff in games and what else that gets introduced tends to be useful at least in something, and unfortunately, Guardian fighters are really not. I mean, yeah, sure, the lance is usable right now to kill things, right? But you need a player for that, because AI is not made for, fighter AI is not made for railgun weaponry. And it just charges an enemy, and guess what it does once it does charge? It explodes because it's too weak to defend itself, and so on. So, yeah, unfortunately, fighters are almost something that I would like to say, yeah, it's awesome. I like it finally, but no, it's not, unfortunately. Let's see. Wing missions, another wasted potential, so let's not talk about that. But yeah, I'd say engineering in my mind would be the biggest change that has been a slight step in the right direction, because engineering material side is still broke as fuck, as we talked about. We still have blueprints that are, they don't make sense. There are also the fact that most blueprints in general just give absurd levels of boosts. Shield would be the greatest one, and of course a few other things as well. But yeah, so on and so forth. So all that needs to be addressed, but at least they removed the fucking Gamblatron 2000, so that's nice. But then again, it's like we polish the shit so that it's not a diarrhea anymore. Now it's more condensed. So I don't know if you can be really that positive about it. Unfortunately, the whole year, what I wanted from this year was really just quality of life improvements. All I wanted was developers have the maintenance phase set in for the game, or they're developing something completely else. Okay, send 2 or 3 guys from your fucking team to work on balance, pure numbers, and let's polish at least a little bit of the game and make sure that the core of it works really well and is super stable. But here we are, and what we got is just something here, something there, nothing really of substance anywhere. And that would be your truly presentation.
Barax, what's your take?
Personally, there's really not a whole lot of things in the Beyond series that really kind of tickle my pickle, so to speak. About the most commonly used thing for me that's come out of Beyond is the shot cannon. So that's really going to be about my favorite thing out of the whole 9 yards. Yeah, I've
Shot
not
cannon,
even
really.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love the shot cannons. Those things are
Okay,
fun.
okay.
Didn't see that one coming, but okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you kidding? Like, one of my
Well,
favorite things to do. Like, this is just kind of a stream specific thing for me, but I have a Viper that has 2 medium shot cannons and 2 pulse lasers on it. And I will, with my streams, sometimes do bonus streams where I start taking vodka shots and take the Viper into the Haz-Res and go ham with it and see what kind of nonsense I can pull off. And by God, even completely plastered, that thing is killing things that it should not. Because of those.
Using the gimbaled or the fixed?
I use fixed.
Yeah, you have to.
So-
The jitter on the gimbaled one is just atrocious.
Well, yeah, the gimbals, they suck.
Yeah, you
But-
fire it like 3 times, and all of a sudden the jitter is like 10 degrees or something. It's
Yeah, it is.
great.
It is bonkers.
If you fire it
Right,
slow,
right.
it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you pow 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 pow, it's just like it's like a cyto scrambler with rapid fire, right?
Yeah, basically. But yeah, that's one of the fun things that I do. I immensely enjoy it. It sounds like nonsense because it is nonsense, but
Yeah.
it's what I do. It's not
Each to its own.
Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
So,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Obsidian,
that's
what-
about it. 'Cause I've not even
Thanks.
done. I've not done one single wing mission or anything this entire time. So I can't really.
You
speak to
shouldn't
any-
also.
You should.
They're
If you need some
underpaying.
credits, ping me later. We've been making a couple $100 million an hour doing them.
Well, in a one specific area, probably.
Of course, you can't tell Down to Earth or Yamiks the system I'm going to give you.
Oh, I'll find it. Don't you
Only
worry.
requirement. Only requirement.
Once I have the time. I think I know what you're talking about already. But no, fuck it.
I will confirm or deny nothing. Ant, what's your take? What's your favorite?
Yeah, so for me, the best thing, the biggest thing for Elite right from the start has always been the galaxy itself. And that's just the sheer scale of it and the sheer, I guess you could say, variety. When you've travelled around enough, things do start to look the same. But when you get to different areas, you get different combinations of things. And that kind of went downhill in Season 2 with the beige planets and all the rest of it. So the best thing for me, really, out of the Beyond season so far was when they fixed and improved the planetary surfaces and the planetary colours and the lighting down there.
Yeah,
And
that
then-
was actually pretty good. Right, I kind of forgot about that. So that was the only thing that I have no complaints about.
Yeah, it was
All I want is just more of it. There you
yeah, definitely more of that. Made it. Well, just brought back the what sense of wonder and the sense of scale of everything again. After everything going beige, and then back in Season 2, there was a lot of, especially the early part of Season 2, there was a lot of fantastic planets out there. I don't think we've got quite back to that kind of scale and variety again, but we're 100 times better than where we were in the mid to later parts of Season 2. And I've also liked everything that's added to that sense of I don't know when I say living galaxy, but the galaxy that's out there. But that's all the different assets that have been added. We got more recently with patch 3.2, there was the Guardian beacons, and
Which are
it's
awesome.
it's unfortunate that there's not a huge amount of gameplay around them. But I think
I
that
agree
really,
with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's 5 minutes and that's it.
that's it. But they're so wonderfully designed and so.
It's an awesome 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's
right?
fantastic. It really is. Be nice to have more reasons and opportunities to go back to them. But
It's like that first time in high school. It's just awesome, but it's only awesome for 5 minutes.
it's that first time, yeah.
Then somebody just bullies you for the rest of the fucking time, and that's your personal narrative. Ah!
The bully grind. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But then I think there's been quite a few different assets added in like that. The Nara bases were another ones. There was that one that made that Yamiks laughing a little while ago, the one in the pea soup. Remember that, Yamiks?
Damn it.
When I said it was down
forget
in the thick green fog and I called it pea soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in 3-1. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
3-1 or
2,
3-2. Yeah. No, yeah, 3-1.
something-
Must have been
something
3-1. Yeah, because
I
they were
think it
quite
was
close together, weren't
3-1.
they? 3-1 and 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, the generation ships, the mega ships, just everything
Yeah.
to give you a reason to go out there and start looking for things. And it's probably a different side of looking into things to you guys are, because for you it's very much with the different gameplays and the different game mechanic additions or changes. But for me, it's just the sense of different things to go out there and find, different things to explore.
Sure.
I don't want to focus too much on how difficult it can be to find those things, or a lack of reason to go back and revisit them, or like with the new megaship interactions, the fact you don't get a particularly good reward from them. So that, you know, you can
The only thing,
focus
you know
on the
what,
negative sides for them, but you know, we're looking at the positive side, and there's a lot of nice different extra things.
Well, if I clarify one thing there, and I would say, as far as the megaships, there is one actually really good thing to do at them, which is hack them for data, right? It's not the most efficient way to get data, but it is a good way to get data if you're going for data.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So like cargo rewards, you're right. It's absurd, right? But if you're going for data specifically, like the Jameson crash site is far more efficient, but hacking them is far more fun.
Yep.
Right. I actually really enjoy that. All the different mechanics you have to use, and I mean,
Isn't it easier too? Like you just shoot it once and that's about it, rather than
No, you
just
have
sit
you
in a
have to scan
SRV
it,
and
then
scan
you have
things.
to, exactly. Well, you scan it, you send out the recon limpet, you go silent running, you wait. You know, you feel like you're doing something wrong to me, right? Because you got to go silent at the right time or stay silent the whole time, and you know you're hacking it. It just, again, it feels more engaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, is that just that sense of scale? And sorry, I'm just knocking my bloody mic. Twice I've done that now.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Yeah, I'm lost track now.
You forgot the last one.
But no, the sense of scale is...
Yeah, the sense of scale and the way it kind of slowly starts bringing things together. I mean, you've got the Thargoid civilization out there, you've got the Guardian civilization out there, and it's still all kind of feels separated. But the more they're adding in, the more it's kind of pulling together. And I think that's something that is coming together a bit more in season 4, chapter 4. That's something, it kind of goes into another topic we might want to talk about.
We'll see. Maybe they'll pull another Genosis cone sector thing. Who knows?
Well, kind of.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
I was going to go into the topic of the visit to Frontier. I don't know if you guys want to talk about
Go
that.
for it. Okay, so for context,
I'm curious because
Should we?
Give everybody the background on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
set it up here for everybody.
Okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's only certain things we can talk about. There was a number of us that got invited into Frontier. Got an invite a little while ago. It was quite short notice, actually.
yeah, it was. I think DJ notified me about that thing. I don't know how long ago.
And I
That
didn't
was barely a
notify
week
you
or
about
nothing.
anything. I simply asked if you'd received.
Ah,
an
right.
interesting
You
email.
asked me.
I asked. I
right.
said, "Have you
Mhm.
received an interesting email?"
Was it like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
barely.
2-3 weeks ago.
Something
So it
like
was
that.
quite short notice
Regardless.
anyway. So
Yeah, it's short
Um,
notice. Anyways, carry on.
it turned out we obviously didn't know, because we're not allowed to talk about it, so we didn't really know who was going, who'd got invited and who hadn't. And we got up to Frontier yesterday, so that was the day of the visit. We didn't really know what was going to be shown either. So we were just told that we'd be told that on the day. So it turned out there was about 17 people invited. Some of them were content creators and, you from YouTube and streamers, but a good half of them, I'd say, were from other areas of the community, so big player group leaders. I'm trying to think who I can mention, because there might be a few people who perhaps don't want their name said. The guy.
Well, there were photographs made. Come on.
Yeah, there were plenty of photographs out there, so
Okay,
it's
So
gonna
So-
you may not
Yeah, well-
right now be pulling said photo up to show it on stream.
Yeah, but then again,
Yeah.
not all names are known,
What's
are
the
they,
link
for
to that
people in there?
DJ?
So,
chat.
yeah, Hutton Truckers, obviously DJ, both a streamer and Sovereignty. Galactic Academy, Orange
Spark, yeah.
Orange Spark, yep. A whole bunch of different people, all from totally different areas of the game. And basically it was to give us a preview of Chapter 4. So, yeah, we'll...
So the only
How
two
was
that
Space-
went
how
there
was
for
Space Legs?
clarity.
So how was Space Legs?
Exeges. For clarity's sake, those
So-
that went there, DJ and Obsidian, for just clarity's
Yeah.
sake. The rest of us
well,
were
The
away. Now,
the
carry
chat
on,
here,
Exeges.
yes, it was me and DJ. A few others who have been on the stream before, Scorpius and
Great.
Greatest.
Great test.
Great
Yes.
Oh, they were there too. Oh, okay, cool.
They were there too, yeah, but obviously they're not on the stream today, so
Yeah, sure.
Nico from the French community was there.
yeah. Bognogus,
Yeah.
They
Polo.
have community? I thought they were cavemans. Oh my god. Frenchies. Arr!
Baguettes.
So yeah, there was a general opinion, I think, around. Well, I was looking at the forums a little bit on Reddit, that it was all content creators that had been invited down, but it completely wasn't a case of that. The content creators
No.
were probably maybe half, probably less than half of the amount of people that were actually invited. So Frontier did try and get quite a good
Yeah,
spread.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quite a good
that's
spread from the community, but there's only limited room, so there's only so many people they could invite. But we can talk a bit about things, but obviously
they
when we
their
got
new
down there,
office
we
yet?
were given NDAs as well, so we're limited
Yeah.
to what we can talk
Too
about.
much
But yeah, it was
to
at their new offices. New offices are brilliant. Yeah,
Is this the first time you've been to their new offices? Or
first time been
how
to the
long-
new offices, yeah.
Yeah,
I went
okay,
there,
okay.
went down to Frontier last year, but that was at their old offices. So,
Yeah.
and they had 3 different buildings at that time. I only went to one of them. But
yeah,
they've got
you and I have
everyone.
been to both the
Yeah,
old
they got everyone
and new
in.
offices.
They got everyone in the new one now. One thing we did learn was they've now got 400 people working at Frontier.
Holy shit.
So
They've
So
grown
they
quite a
increased
lot
a little
then. Holy
bit.
crap.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
about 350, I think, last time we talked about it.
360
Few
is
months-
the last
360
number
was
I
it?
remember.
Yeah, it's around about 400 now, and they've got a load of room to expand still. They've still got quite a few floors.
Probably
so-
most are just QA testers anyways.
Well,
Right.
one of the interesting bits is that there's an area that's not finished yet that they're developing for more space. That's how sort of rapidly.
That
they're
was nearly a
expanding.
whole floor as well. So
Yeah.
there's about probably I'd say a floor and a half that wasn't occupied yet.
Yeah, so they've got plenty of room left even.
Yeah, and we didn't get to see any of the other floors, but we did get to see the floor for Elite, and it's pretty much an entire half a floor is dedicated just to Elite developers. Yeah, I can hear you thinking, what the heck? But yeah, there is
are
there
100 of them. They're
there
not
is-
lying.
there is half a floor there. There is that many desks.
But most of them probably work in different projects, so you can't
Right,
say
so
that
it
they
does
are
it doesn't
exactly
no,
dedicated.
that was
after all.
they're dedicated to Elite Dangerous. At least that's what we were told. Got no reason personally to doubt them. It doesn't include QA testers. It doesn't include.
Of course, QA testers are just
Yeah, it doesn't include community
versatile and
team.
disposable sometimes, unfortunately.
Literally,
Yeah, that wasn't-
literally was
that
purely
wasn't
people who work on
HR.
Elite Dangerous. No, not HR.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. Which is what some people have been suspecting or expecting.
So, Obsidian, what can you tell the folks about what you guys saw?
So, do you want to talk a bit, DJ?
So, what we can say is that we've seen what you guys have seen so far. And we're allowed to kind of go, yeah, we've seen that in act, like the exploration changes. We've seen that in action.
Yeah.
Yeah. The exploration changes are wonderful.
But I assume you can't go into any detail or answer questions.
can't go
right?
into real detail. I can say that what we saw with the exploration changes, like seeing it in action, makes it make a lot more sense. The audio on the exploration changes is something like, I know the audio, we're used to the audio in Elite being next level, yeah?
Yeah,
The
it really
audio
is
in this is no, the audio in this is beyond. Yeah?
Beyond stupid.
No.
Beyond.
I identified a gas giant by its sound.
Well, you can do that now.
Fine.
Yeah,
No,
but
I was about to
well,
say,
no, not like right now. Yeah. I heard what sounded like Jupiter. Yeah, you've heard the recordings of Jupiter. Yeah.
I was
The
about to say, I'm stuck.
electromagnetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to say,
I have
I
no
know.
idea
I
what
remember
Jupiter sounds like.
Right. I've heard that, and
they
I
can
heard a
party at
similar
Jupiter,
noise
man.
come out, and it went oh, and I went that's gas giant, and lo and behold, it was a gas giant. Yeah.
yeah.
the
They
audio
obviously
in
they
this is
haven't showed
beyond.
everything yet for Chapter 4.
No.
We saw a few extra things, but you know, I want to be really careful about hyping things up, because I'm obviously DJ can say what he saw is wonderful. I mean, I personally really thought it was brilliant as well, the exploration that we saw. But
Yeah.
everyone's opinion is subjective, yeah.
Yeah.
So someone else is going to see the same thing, and
Hate it.
they might hate it. And
Really?
and we only saw it, we didn't get to sit and play it. So again, until it's in your hands, Yeah, but
it looks good.
Chapter 4 is a really big update, and it kind of explains why the last 2 chapters have been so small, and by comparison, it's much bigger even than Chapter 1.
Yeah.
So in case yes.
To put this into perspective,
when we say there's 100, or Frontier says 100 people working on Elite, and you kind of look at all the updates we've got this year, and perhaps toward the end of last year as well, and thinking, well, where are they working on? It looks like they've all been working on Chapter 4.
And when you look at to put this into perspective, the presentation we were given wasn't going stupidly in depth on each thing, and it lasted 6 hours.
Yeah,
I was about to ask how long you guys.
Yeah, the other thing is, I mean, again, you see comments around. I think people got obviously Frontier did this for PR reasons. They're not going to do this without thinking from a PR perspective. But when you think of it like that, you always imagine a group going in and they're showing like a fluff piece, like a purely promo piece. But it wasn't a case of that. It was getting our opinions, getting our feedback, and taking questions. And people did put some really hard questions to the developers. And it was all presented by the developers and not by the community team. The community team were in the room, but they were sort of to the sides. It was literally the developers talking. And when we asked questions of them, they didn't give us evasive answers. They didn't give us and answers. And they literally gave us an answer to the question we wanted. And if they couldn't answer it, they went out the room and went and got an answer and come back with one. And some people in the room...
Awesome.
Yes, and some people in the room did put some really hard questions to the developers. Really put them on the spot. So, yeah. I mean, anything you guys want to ask or talk about it?
For full disclosure
I will add one more line. Huh? Yeah. I'm a miner now.
I'm really looking forward to the
What?
update. Now,
I'm a miner now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see the mining update too. I guess, I mean, it's hard to ask questions.
No. Hold on. DJ, what?
Yeah.
He's going to mine.
You heard me.
Mining asteroids.
I'm a miner now.
Like, it's hard to ask questions, obviously, because of, we don't know what you can and can't say. I guess, I think a comment somebody said was maybe about, and I don't know where I saw this, if it was in chat or something, about potentially when the beta was coming. Is that something you can talk about?
We don't know.
Hashtag
I can tell you that we don't know that.
Yeah, hashtag soon. Yeah.
Again, the thing I don't like about the situation is that it kind of puts us on the spot, because you end up doing the same as what Frontier do. Oh, it's really great, it's really exciting, but I can't tell you anything about it.
Right. They just put They just put you in the same place that they put themselves constantly, which sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Except for we're not Frontier.
No,
Yeah,
I
but you can't.
And
I
I
have to
like
toe the same line.
and
So the difference
I will
is
sit here, and if you ask me exploration, I'm all flowers. Mining, I'm all flowers. Yeah. Squadrons, I'm worried about.
Yep. And
I
I
can't
can't
talk
go
about
into
it beyond
why,
that.
but yeah.
But I'm worried about.
So that's the thing,
Right.
Frontier obviously they're taking a risk coming in and showing people stuff, because not everyone who's there is a fanboy, yeah.
Yeah. And as much as
actually
I'll
just
wax
thinking,
lyrical about
I
the
wanna talk
vast
to the
majority
least
of what we saw.
fanboy person, right?
Yeah. And as much as I'll wax lyrical about the vast majority of what we saw, I am worried about Squadrons.
Yeah, so whilst Frontier might say, sit there and say, oh, it's really exciting, it's brilliant, but we can't talk about it, the difference is from the people that have visited, if what we're coming, the only reason we'd be saying that is if we genuinely think that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Otherwise, just either, we wouldn't talk about it, give you an evasive answer, or just say, like what DJ said, he's got worries about Squadrons. So, and I think that's something quite a few people actually had. It's one of the areas we put the developers on a bit of a spot on.
I will, however, say that probably, in fact, no, the most exciting stuff about this update hasn't been announced yet.
Okay, but
That
Interesting.
yeah, so since obviously you guys can't really say much other than there's been some awesome stuff shown. I think an interesting question is what your guys' view are on this kind of release strategy the Frontiers put out in the Q4. I mean, we had the Horizon series where we had 4 patches that were. I mean, we had the first patch, which was obviously the major patch because of planetary landings, but then the 3 preceding patches were like kind of equal in size, as I recall them. And now they've gone over to a method that says huge patch at the beginning, which in my mind makes absolutely sense, and then 2 very, very small patches, and then something massive at the end of the year. What's your?
I hope they don't do it again.
Yeah. Okay. So my point of view on it is well, if that's going to be a common thing, which it can't be, because if they're going to do that next year, that means that the next patch, which will be what expecting to be 4.0 patch, is also going to be a massive one. They don't really have had the time, unless that's going to be something that's going to launch at the end of next year. They don't really have the time to develop a new massive patch anytime soon, which would then indicate that if they're going for that same release strategy with big, small, small, big, that there's going to be a very long time before we're going to begin to see any new patches. So I personally don't hope they're going to go for that again. I'm much more like the release strategy used in the Horizon series, where they kind of evened it out a little bit more.
Every 6 months, a big update.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So
For full disclosure part, yeah.
What's
So,
your guys' take on it?
are you yeah, go. Never mind me.
No, go on, Yamiks.
No, please, Yamik, go for it.
So my question then to Obsidian and DJ is for full disclosure part, of course, if you are allowed to say or not. You got just an invite. You had to go there yourselves by your own power, or were you flown in?
They paid. There's all the costs on them.
Okay, there we
Yeah.
go. That's kind of important to do.
Actually, that is important.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
Wouldn't say otherwise. There's quite a few people that come from America as well. Obviously, that's quite a cost to Frontier.
And I think, to be honest, the size of the group, that was largely down to cost. Yeah. I think were budget unlimited, they would have bought a lot more people.
have you seen their financial report, DJ?
The budget still
Come
isn't
on.
unlimited, Yamiks.
Have you seen what
no.
their stock has done, Yamix?
I've seen
sure
also
budget
that.
was a concern.
I've also seen their stock. Yes, it's an interesting.
Which
thing.
is a fairly normal thing for a game for a games company in the
40%
period
drop
that they
in 4 months is not normal for any publicly traded company.
They're on.
Is it already 40?
It's also based in the UK.
40%.
Don't forget,
Hmm.
which
Isn't
at
that
the
much?
moment
That
is a
kind of hurt.
volatile as fuck market because of Brexit. But that's getting into politics, and let's not get into politics.
Suck a dick, Brexit. Haha.
But the honest truth is, I think, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I certainly didn't get the feeling, speaking to everyone else in the evening when we all went for a meal. You didn't get the impression that anyone came away from that feeling negative. In fact, Bog has tweeted this evening that he feels utterly reinvigorated with the game because of it. In the near future, they're going to be revealing the stuff that, it's not going to be long till you guys see what we saw, right? And it'll be wonderful to be able to talk about it as it's released. And trust me, there is so many things that are coming that is so exciting.
Oh Jesus fucking Christ! That name.
You said the word.
I'm sorry, it's true. It's true.
Do we have Frontier on stream all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Well,
we have exciting updates to the
I'm gonna
first
get out
round.
my
Everything's exciting.
Wow.
Everything's exciting.
Let's
No,
get
but-
going.
but no,
I think
seriously.
I'm done with the stream for today, everybody. It's been
Yep.
nice.
Wow.
Yep. Me too. That's about it.
I'm done. Yeah, time to wrap up.
No, go on, by all means. I think you guys say what you think. I'd love, ask what you want to ask. Say what you think about this, the way it was. I don't know, say handled, but what do you think of a bunch of people being invited into Frontier in that sort of way? Silence.
Oh, I think it's great. I have no issue with that. I think it was. I mean, I was there, so I can't obviously comment on it. But
Yeah.
I think it was.
No, just I
yeah.
mean, and obviously from the point of view of people hearing about it. Obviously, like you say, you weren't there, so is it something you think's an okay approach, or you think it's?
Oh, 100%. I think the more, I mean, I think it's a bummer from the standpoint of what you just said, Ant, that, you know, it's more, I mean, look, what DJ just said sums it up. It's more rah, but I can't tell you anything. And everybody's sick to fucking death of that, right?
Yep.
Sure, for you guys, it's great, right?
Yep.
I'm glad to see Frontier communicating, period. I wish that communication was much more public and much more open, right? At this point, in a way, I don't see why they wouldn't have just shown that to the entire community, right? Like bring you guys in to get feedback yesterday, to to get some focused feedback from a small group, and then today show that entire thing to everybody.
Yeah.
Where's the problem with that?
Well, so one of the reasons for that, I think, is because it's still, as Ed tweeted yesterday, it's still in pre-alpha.
Well, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
so
I agree.
obviously it changes.
We're all adults. We all know how gaming
Yeah,
works,
no,
right?
I
Get the feedback
agree with
from
that.
you
They
guys.
could still show anyway.
Communicate with everybody. Right, exactly. Communicate with all of us, right?
The problem is you say we're all adults, but the truth is it's the internet.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But you're gonna have the haters hating anyway, right?
Yeah.
By communicating to a large degree, those of us that are fanboys of the game, right? You know, that want to be fanboys of the game, like myself, I would say. Now we've got something to actually talk about and something to discuss and give real feedback on, instead of all this just sitting around wondering and conjecture and, you know, the bullshit we're in, which is where we constantly are with the league. Right.
And I think that that's going to be happening over the next few weeks. Like, I don't think that that's not going to happen. To be honest with you, they wouldn't release everything.
The next few weeks.
Look,
it's always.
No, but it's not. Yeah, right. This is actually the next few weeks. Yeah. There's patches.
For the last 4 years, it's been the next few weeks. Like 2 months ago, it was the next few weeks. There's always
this patch
better
will come out, right? It's not like they haven't been releasing patches.
Stop and beat my head against the wall.
What do you mean then? They're going to release this information.
Every time they talk about something, it's always something is coming, right? We get 90% something's coming and 10% here it is, right? And this is just and again, I'm glad they did this with you guys, right? But it's another.
The game is like an impotent male. Something is always coming. It's coming. It's gonna be coming. I'm glad
you and I had the same thought there.
Yamiks has to take it to there.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, you know.
The important thing.
What do you expect from me?
I'm not complaining.
The important thing that I took away from it is that it explained for me why the other updates this year have been a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I took away from it. Yeah, it suddenly made sense to me. Yeah.
Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah.
I mean, there really wouldn't have been any other reason for those updates to be so small unless the last one was going to be a whopper.
And to be fair to them, they did point that out in their roadmap last year.
Well, yeah, they always did say that chapter 4 was going to be the biggest one out of all.
When you still see some of the stuff, DJ, it's still I can understand why people look at like chapter 3, for example, and think, well, what the heck is this?
Yeah,
it don't make no sense. Yeah,
it almost feels like
it does make sense when you look at it in hindsight. Yeah. I mean, but I do agree with your point as well, Exegius, because from that point of view, you're always waiting through the whole year for the next thing to happen, and it just seems like it's never happening. And then when it does happen, you get chapter 3,
right?
And you're like,
I mean, somebody in my chat just posted, you know, the thing is, we're way past quote unquote something soon, right? You know, like it's been way too long for something soon. Yeah, we're to the it really now probably is something soon, and soon is probably actually.
This is
soon, but
technically this is the 5th financial year,
right?
5th financial year of Elite Dangerous. Just to point that out.
Right.
So, I wouldn't normally go to chat, but Prime9, who is Mark Allen from FDev, we're on full disclosure, has just said, from having seen gaming communities from both sides, I think it's pretty common that the most hardcore fans get a lot more something's coming than something's here. You're the guys who see every message. The majority of fans only pay attention to a relatively thin slice, and PR never wants them to miss the message. And that, I think, is a valid point. I'm not...
That's actually a fair point, yeah.
Yeah, I think that is...
I'll give them that.
I think it is too, but I think in this case, Frontier takes that to the incredible extreme, to the point that your average player is also feeling the something soon problem.
But can I finish this up with...
sure.
I think when, having seen everything, I will look back at Beyond as a whole, not its release strategy necessarily, But beyond as a whole, I will look at entirely happily.
I mean, how do
You
you
better
guys?
bring out something interesting, because as far as it is, it looks really, really lackluster, even for the releases in the past. So,
I mean,
yeah.
how did you guys feel about Horizons in hindsight compared to how you felt about it as it was being released? If you look at Horizons as a collective.
Horizons is now a complete. You suggest everyone buys it, right? Because it adds so much to the game. There's so much content to it, right?
Had you been there, on patch 2.0, you may not have necessarily said the same thing, right?
And a lot of people didn't, right? An awful lot of people at the release of Horizons were very much with the what's this? Yeah. And so looking back with hindsight is quite a big thing. Yeah.
So, okay, I just wanted to raise one point with the whole the whole alpha meeting or whatever you want to call it. And first of all, I just wanted to clarify that I think it's wonderful to see that Frontier is beginning to communicate more with the community. Not necessarily only the content creators and the spokespersons for larger communities, but in general that they're beginning to listen a little bit more to the community, because that's been a general point that I see often, that people feel they're disconnected from the developers. But that being said, that having a selected number of people come to the community and not even talk to the rest of them has created a lot of salt. I'm not going to point out any names or anything, but I mean, if you go to Twitter or Reddit or anything, you can find some salty people.
Salt pretty easy,
you will find the salt of people who thought that they were, I don't know if they feel like they were important enough, they should have been there, but there's definitely some people. And I think, was it you, Obsidian, who said that you talked to Zach about it, and he said he had a list of over 100 people who he would have loved to have there, but of course, money don't grow on trees, so they couldn't get everyone when there. I don't know. I feel like it is a bit of a gamble that when they do it, they risk splitting the community, or at least the not influencers. I hate that word, but content creators or community spokespersons, they kind of risk splitting them up into to two groups, like the people Frontier like versus the people Frontier don't care about. That's at least how it's can look from outside, and that's some of the arguments
it gets split into elite versus plebs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's some of the arguments that I've seen. I don't really.
I can totally understand where you're coming from on that. I can totally relate to that.
I just want to clarify that I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's just a point that I've been seeing people make, and whether you like it or not, it's a real risk that someone's gonna go, okay, so if they don't care about me, I'm not gonna care about them, and people might just get so angry that they completely lose interest. But I don't know if people would take it that far. But
it's kind of difficult, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, Frontier aren't the only company to do this. Quite a lot of companies actually do this, open up for private showing of stuff. I think Warframe did it as well quite recently, didn't they? Around about the same time as TennoCon. I don't know if it was actually the same day as TennoCon. That's their convention for Warframe, but I know they invited a group of people into their offices. It's certainly not unusual, but yeah, I do take that point.
So here's a question on that then. Does anyone have a problem with journalists being shown stuff before the public?
I don't have a problem with anybody being shown.
Depends what it is, really.
You see my point though, yeah. In a very real way, influencers. And that's,
we are media, regardless.
We are media, right? And that the fact that and the fact that they actually expanded it beyond that was the thing that I was really happy to see. That I thought it was just going to be influencers, and to see it go beyond that was brilliant. It's obvious they would have loved to have brought a huge number more people, but you know, it's the real world. There's only so much monies, and in reality, let's be serious. The the fact that they're doing it, and the fact that, for me, their primary goal wasn't PR. If their primary goal had been PR, there wouldn't have been the nonsense beforehand where all of us weren't allowed to say where we were going.
See, the other thing I'd say with that, DJ, is that if it was purely about PR, they would have done the same as they did with Jurassic World. With Jurassic World, they invited in a bunch of whole big YouTubers, wasn't it? People with like 2-3 million subs. People have possibly never played Frontier games before. They're just bringing them in, taking them out to LA, and sitting them down and look at this. And it wasn't a case of that. It was a case. Yes, they did select a few content creators from a massive list of content creators out there, but they also invited in player groups as well. And they invited in other people from the community, not all the people that perhaps could have gone or should have gone. But if
So you're saying that there would be some people that shouldn't have gone?
There was people
I think every single person there should have been there. I think everyone there proved that with the questions that were asked. And to be honest, I think the primary thing for Frontier, to sort of finish the point, was... Oh, not finish the point, finish the thought. I apologise. That sounded so rude. I'm sorry. To finish the thought, it wasn't for PR, it was for feedback. They wanted to know what we thought. And the honest truth is, we do represent a lot of people between the people that were in that room. And that makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah, I personally have no problem with it. I mean, I get, as
I was just
before,
that was kind of in response to what Down to Earth said.
I mean, as commented before, I can understand why somebody would be emotional about not being invited, right? I mean, it's never fun to feel like you were left out of one of the cool kids, right? But I think when you take emotion out of it, you think about it, I mean, there are realities of the cost of getting people there, bringing people together. I mean, it's you've got to make a list somewhere, and some people aren't going to make the cut, right?
And that's unfortunate, but life.
I would have loved to have been invited myself. Am I upset that I didn't get invited? No. I mean, right? Like, what good does that do, right?
Yeah. So Mace in my chat to finish this off has actually just summed that up really well. He said, so it was a reality check from an FDev point of view. Yeah, pretty much. That's what it felt like. Then going, right, how is this going to be taken?
Hell, I'm just happy to hear they're asking somebody's opinion.
Exactly.
Right?
Even that much
part,
is a
it
step
sounds like
forward.
the opinions, for the most part, the opinions that they asked, I think are, I'm happy for some of those opinions to be speaking for me.
But it might also just be a reflection that Frontier knows how important it is. I mean, we all know that there's lately been a general negativity in the community. I at least feel it's grown over the last half year. So I think Frontier knows that that a lot is riding on this Q4 update. One thing that I wanted to mention as well. I can't remember who it was. Someone said if we have any problems with journalists getting a preview of something beforehand, and no, absolutely not. That makes complete sense. One thing that I do find a little odd though is when there's suddenly, let's say, a new trailer released on insert random news media here.
Yeah,
YouTube
that was
channel.
really weird.
That's so odd. Like suddenly we go to this channel that I have never heard of, some games news outlet that does whatever, and they have this new trailer
exclusive
that's exclusive on their channel. It's not on Frontier's own channel. It's just like, what? Why? That makes
it raises more questions than it ever could answer.
Yes,
Holy shit!
It was really odd.
Unfortunately, the only I'm not sure if I'm right, but the only reason I can see is that news outlet had paid a lot.
That's the only thing I could think, right? I mean, look, it
for
would
me
make
as
much
well.
more sense. It would make more sense for them to release that video on Obsidian's channel, who has more subs than they do, than it would to some random gaming channel that has nothing to do with Elite that none of us have ever heard.
The idea is to attract new players in, isn't it?
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I think the idea is to attract new players in, wasn't it? They're not going to get new players from me.
Maybe.
No,
I mean, okay,
with the way
it's fair.
hold on. With the way
wait.
YouTube works, it actually would have been more beneficial to put it on Obsidian's channel.
That's actually probably right. Actually, it would have gotten in more recommendations that way, wouldn't it?
But okay, Obsidian with that kind of argument, then why not say, sure, insert standard news media here. You can post this on your channel, but we are also going to post it on our own
course.
official channels as well.
course.
Because if we're expecting the audience to be so segmented, then that would make more sense. Then it would reach a larger audience.
It would have made more sense to give it to all of us to publish on all of our channels at the same time in that regard, right?
So
I'm with
speaking
Astro.
of-
The only thing I can think is that they pay. You know,
Unfortunately, I would love to be proven wrong, but I have a gut feeling that it's a cash grab.
Completely agree with that gut feeling. Go ahead, DJ.
What was I going to say? No, it's gone. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I had something and then it's completely.
It will come
escaped
back
my
as soon
mind.
as someone else stares talking.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. It's always.
Isn't that
The
always
main
the
key
case?
point here is, again, full disclosure.
Yep. I wouldn't do it any
That
other
would
way.
have been nice about the Games and article there. Wouldn't have been. Wouldn't have been nice to know
Well,
the full
that's
disclosure
if
there.
there was anything. Yeah, we can.
Of course.
We can think all we want. Yeah, we don't know the truth. For all
Of
we
course.
know, it's someone's mate, and it was someone doing someone a favor. Yeah, God knows. Right.
Indeed.
The honest truth is we don't know why. Yeah.
But
Frontier
without
generally are
clarification,
fairly
you're
upfront
left
about things,
questioning.
Let's be honest.
Your question. Again.
Yeah,
just
but
leaves us questioning quite a bit, isn't it?
hey, the speculation will always fill a void, right?
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah.
And how hard would it have been to fill that void?
All right, we've got Yamiks talking about filling voids. We need to.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
I was about
Probably.
to say, how big's that schlong? Because you're gonna need a good one.
Well,
We need to move on.
No, Yamiks is tuckered out already.
Do we have any
ask-
topics? Yeah, go.
No, I was gonna set you up, Astro.
We already are
You wanna-
past the 2-hour
You want to
mark.
take us out? Yeah. Why don't you take us out, Astro?
Okay. So I hope that most of you guys who were, well, they're still around, you probably enjoyed at least some of it, and found it interesting. And I think, as always, if people have suggestions for topic they want to hear, they're more than welcome to post to, well, whatever.
Twitters, forums,
or-
whatever else. We do watch those things.
Random question. Should we start some kind of like elite roundtable, or ask something like a hashtag so people could ask questions with that hashtag on
That's
Twitter?
a good idea. Yeah.
Can I-
You guys forced me into fucking use Twitter. We might as well get something out of it.
lol.
So
Yeah.
what are we using? Like elite roundtable or ED roundtable or
I like ED
Creators Roundtable. Just how about that? Creators
no,
Roundtable.
ED roundtable.
I like
as
ED
creators.
roundtable.
All right.
It's probably taking ED. I don't know if anyone can remember who it was, but thank you. We love that people are listening.
Oh,
all
right.
that does.
That was the crime
Yeah.
and punishment thing.
Yeah, the crime
that
and
was.
punishment. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I forgot his name. Damn it, I told you.
Yeah, I did as well.
It's
Oh,
in
somebody
my
had
fucking
you,
Discord.
I didn't see it. Somebody share if you guys see it later.
It was here in the Discord.
I
somewhere.
shared it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Give me a
I
sec.
missed it.
Damn it.
Scrolling up.
people are suggesting hashtag EDRT?
Oh, EDRT is good.
Sure. That's probably not used.
Here you go.
There we go,
I
found
got
it.
Eve
Load, you
Wanderer.
fuck. Yeah.
I
Eve
win.
Wanderer. Damn it. Damn it, EJ. Damn it.
But seriously, to see someone put that much thought in based off of, and the first two comments are Yamiks and I. Just basically going,
That was the
wow,
first one.
this is
Haha.
awesome. Yeah, you were first, I was second. Yeah.
Hey, he's in my chat. So
Oh,
thank
wicked.
you, dude.
Thank you, dude. We really appreciate it.
Somebody
we do
post it into chat so I can put it.
All right, fine.
Thank you.
I
Raise your
was
hand.
about to put it into my chat.
Thank you. Yeah, put it.
It's an
raise your
interesting
hands.
read. It's definitely an interesting read.
Yeah, I missed it, so I want to read it.
Where is it?
Up your butt. All right, give me a
Oh.
sec. I'll post it. There
That
we
is
go.
exit only, sir.
Thank you.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that, Sunny?
I am absolutely positive.
Have you tried?
Nope, not exactly the
Are
either.
you certain about it?
Well, at least it's a short read.
All right, fuck it. Butt jokes aside, I guess that'll be it for today. Anyone else?
Oh no.
Any other things?
No.
Okay,
Actually,
well,
you know what? Before we end, hold on. Let's
Yeah.
go back to. I want to see the end results of Ant's poll.
Poll.
Right.
Yes.
Poll,
The
yeah.
Poll about,
Oh, yeah.
And
about the
yeah, what is
engineering.
Let's
the
have a
poll?
look.
The poll.
I'll
The
just
poll.
get that up, and I don't know about you guys, but I'll be hanging around a bit on the stream as well afterwards.
I'll be around for just a few minutes myself.
So yeah, hang around
Yeah,
once everyone else has gone if you
What
want to
I would have expected.
keep
looking
listening.
at the poll.
Wow.
So what we got? 772 votes so far,
Whoa.
and 65% people have done between 1 and 100 G5 engineering roles.
Yep.
17% between 101 and 500. 6% between 501 and 1,000. 5% have done between 1,000 and 2,000 roles, and 6% of people have done over 2,000 G5 engineering roles.
I do wonder why is that so skewed towards one side.
I'd like
Oh,
to
why-
zero in on that 1
Could
to
it be
100.
material gathering is bullshit?
Well, if you look at it this way, it's 83% have done less than 500 rolls.
Yep.
I
That's
think
basically
it's-
the
I think
level of
means
engineering, maybe one ship at most.
1 to 100. That means people have engineered one, or that's rolls,
One or
right?
two ships.
Rolls.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's
Yeah,
one
that's
ship.
one or two
Rolls.
ships.
So
Right,
over
that's
50%
one
of the people who have been watching the stream have pretty much engineered one ship. That's
Yep.
it.
Although it has to be said, a lot of people use just one ship. So
That's fair enough. So 50% has made themselves a jumper counter.
Yep, pretty much. I'm right now in middle of, or rather, in the final stages of making my maxed out jump account, and I got like 32 grade 5s. So yeah, 40 would be about one ship. 40 grade 5s would be one ship. And of course, remember, not all of the people do go for maximum rolls as well. They stay at maybe 3, 4, who knows?
Somebody
grade, so-
doesn't max out a grade 5. How do you do that? I can't. not do
Unless you can't be asked to get core dynamics in high
Or
grade
if you get it
emissions.
close enough that it's not worth the
I
trouble to
would
hit
love-
that button.
I would love the stat to know how many core dynamics I've picked up over the course of the game. I guarantee you it's at least
yes.
2,000. Right? I did, because the number of hull reinforcements, armors I've got, and my armored power plants is just ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess
But
yet
yeah.
another episode is more or less done. Any last words on anyone else's parts and
Nope.
stuff?
No, do you want to very quickly talk about the 2021 thing? I'll keep getting people ask, otherwise I'll just
yeah.
talk about that
Oh,
afterwards. Up to you guys if you
Oh,
want to hang around a bit
cricket-
Yeah,
longer.
we can leave that for
Yeah.
another day.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
going to say, tell the story real quick. You brought it up, and just hit on one of
Fine,
these.
go for it.
Okay,
1
well,
minute.
Yeah, but very quickly, and if my chat wants to talk about it more, I'll talk about it with them afterwards. But basically, Frontier released their yearly financial reports very recently. It's a legal obligation for public companies in the UK. Basically, they have to go into a lot of details about their profits and their expenditure and everything like that. One thing that one person picked up and posted on the forums was the end of the Elite Dangerous. I can't remember how it was phrased.
Expected
franchise.
lifespan.
Expected lifespan, yeah. The end of the expected lifespan for Elite Dangerous was dated at 2021. So obviously many people suddenly thought the game's only got a couple of years left. But that's something...
Active development wise, yes, that's referring to active development, because they will still keep cashing in the microtransactions, baby. The money train ain't gonna stop there, buddy.
Right, but that's
It'll
something I
keep
actually
going.
asked. We actually asked Frontier about this. I can't remember. Was you sitting there as well, DJ, or was you down the other end of the room? It might have been you were sitting there with someone else. But it turns out that it's just an accounting term. So the way they explained it is essentially the development cost of the game that they initially put down on the game. They then budget out across 10 years or 8 years or whatever it was, and that budget that they've spread across that number of years comes to an end in 2021. So it has nothing to do with development time or nothing to do with the lifespan of the game. It's literally to do with, it's an accounting thing.
So,
I mean, I'm
does
no
that mean
accountant, but-
that in 2021, Elite is now broken even.
No,
Like that-
it just
No,
it
Elite
means
broke even sooner than that, I'd
it
say.
means
Yeah,
that
I would expect that as well.
yeah, no, it's
Oh,
just
that's
a
late.
development cost of the game. They've basically spread across that number of years. I mean, I'm no accountant, so I don't understand the basics of it. Or even the complexities of it, or whatever. But I was asked a question, and that was the answer I was given. So it's not the end of development or anything like that in 2021. It's just down to the way they spread the cost of certain parts of the game.
Right, I got a guy in my chat who says that it's called write-off accounting.
Okay.
Okay, well. No, but overall, when it comes down to games in general terms, multiplayer games, of course, take a little bit longer periods of time to die, sort of. But realistically speaking, Elite Dangerous, in my personal opinion, of course, has about 3 years to go. Really, it won't really go for the 10 years. The last 2 years will be there. Of course, the game will keep going and it will be playable, just like pretty much every other game, as long as they can afford the servers and all that stuff, which is probably next fucking 15 probably years or whatnot else. But realistically, active development. Huge jumps and things.
Yamiks, and ask why you think that. Why do you think it'll stop?
About 3 years, in my opinion. Active development is about 3 years. Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Unless something changes. Again, over time, of course, how much can we buy those microtransactions? How much can they spend the time on a title for which you earn less than on yet another licensed game or a new IP? As David Braben himself wrote, reported rather, as it was reported with interview with him. In one of the business articles, I forgot which one was it, but essentially he did mention that there's a game coming in 2020, and there are 2 other games in very early stages, and I was like, well, yeah. And additionally, of course, a little bit lower than that, Mr. Braben did mention that they aim, of course, not necessarily want. But aim to release 1 game each year or each 12 months or so. So that's an interesting, I guess, strategy for a company. So of course, a new title will take precedence over a rather really old one, especially the older it gets. So I mean, sure, Elite could be like EVE Online and just keep propagating itself for a long time. I don't know whether or not that will happen, but in my experience, games...
One point on that. Just going very quickly, DJ?
Prime9's just said, I can say that I've never heard anyone internally talking about an end date to full development on Elite. Take of that what you will.
That's
No, I mean, sure, no one is talking about it, but financially you kind of have to look forward to.
Well, I'm just going to ask you, Yamiks. So you're saying that there's a possibility of active development, but... Obviously, when we was down there yesterday, we only saw Chapter 4 content. We didn't see anything beyond that. Frontier point blank refused to talk about anything beyond that. But if for example, Space Legs come out, would that change? Would that change your thoughts on that?
It's hard to say because even the best of games do have their lifespan. It's a perpetual, sort of a downwards curve, that, if you will, in some ways. And for Elite, it was rather interesting in its development cycle for me to investigate some, Horizons release, for example. When Elite released, right? It got around 8,000 people playing on Steam. I think it was the good old marks there. But as soon as Horizons launched, it was interesting that the numbers increased beyond the initial release. So with a good release, the game can completely rejuvenate itself in some ways.
How many people were playing No Man's Sky before the recent patch?
No Man's Sky is a good example, but remember, DJ, No Man's Sky was after 2 years.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I'm just saying, how many people were playing it before the most recent patch? It's a good example, of what a good patch can do. But the honest truth is,
doubling numbers right now.
I have to provide another little rebuttal. What's the lifespan on a good MMO? Because World of Warcraft and EVE Online would like to have some words about that, Let's be honest, they're games that are still going.
Say that Elite's not an MMO.
No,
but it has enough components to look like one.
Yeah, let's not have that debate.
Here's the little fact,
please,
folks. I read the financial report in parts, and yes, the Frontier considers the game as massively multiplayer. It was written in there. So,
Right.
there you go. So
Am I
there's
the
no
only one
if,
that-
ands, or buts about it.
Am I
It
the only
is
one that
multiplayer.
dreams about a day when Elite, when they release Elite as open source and the community can have at it?
No.
Like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, wouldn't that be
Well,
amazing?
Modding in Elite.
Isn't there?
Oh God!
No,
wouldn't that be
hold on.
amazing?
Isn't there a post or something from David Braben a while back that said that when the Elite servers go down, the code to Elite would be released for people to, run their own crap if they so wanted
That's
to?
true. That's fantastic. That's a day to look
I
forward to.
I recall
It's in
that being a
his-
thing, but I don't.
It's the
remember
kind of
where.
thing he, like, from everything else
I-
he said, it's the kind of thing he'd do. Let's be
I
honest.
believe that. Actually, yeah. Yep.
Anyway, we were bringing this to an end, and then we
Yep.
kept going.
Let's wrap
So,
up.
So yeah, I ranted on. Sorry, folks.
okay.
So it's on me. It's on me.
Hey, I
blame
timed you
Yamiks
today.
for
Your
this.
first rant wasn't until 46 minutes in.
holy
Really?
shit.
Yeah, your
Oh,
first
damn.
good one.
That's the
You had a
That's
few mini
kind of-
ones.
longest
thi-
ever.
That's
Yeah.
This is what you get when I'm depressed, sort of. So yay!
Oh, it feels bad.
Yeah.
No depressed
Oh.
Yamiks.
Anyways, I guess you guys enjoyed the Fridays stream and all that stuff. And anyone else wants to finish this out? Or
No, go for it.
no one's speaking up. God damn it. Okay, fine. So today, we were joined with DJTruthsayer,
Hi. Thank you very much.
Down to Earth Astronomy,
Thanks for having me.
Exegius,
Fly dangerously.
Obsidian Ant,
Thank you.
and Paroxym.
Hey.
Yeah, and I've been yours truly, Yamiks, who ranted too much and all that stuff. So sorry, folks. I guess today's episode kind of went in too long. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed and enjoy your Friday. We're out.
Okay, so catch you later.
So
See
See you
you
guys later.
See you guys.
All right, for those of you that want to hang around, then do stay, because I'll have a talk with chat here for a little while longer, as I usually do. I usually stay around another 20, 30 minutes, or even longer, depending on what's going on in chat, really. I'll leave the game alone and just discuss with you. So if there's anything you want to talk about, anything you want to ask, then now's your chance. Go for it. I've always have a really good discussion, I think, with everyone on stream. The round table's been really good. It's something I've really enjoyed doing, and obviously all come from very different perspectives over here. We've all got different attitudes, but I think really that's what makes it work. But it does mean why we're all talking on here. It means I often miss what's going on in chat, so now's the time for me to get in there and have a talk with you all. So I'm just going to have a look at the first 2 or 3 points here at the very bottom, and then I'll scroll back up to some of the stuff I've missed, and we'll have a talk about that. Hopefully the sound's all okay here, so do let me know. So ISO kicks, what have we got? ISO kicks. Are you excited about exploration wise for chapter 4? So the chapter 4 update and exploration, as you know, has always been a thing for me. It's always been the thing I've enjoyed the most about Elite, and you've probably noticed that I've kind of ebbed off doing exploration over the recent months. Last 6 months or so I haven't done anywhere near as much of it as I used to do, but I think, at least from what I saw, and do keep in mind that I didn't have hands-on with it, I just got it demonstrated to me, but from what I saw, I'm definitely very keen to play exploration in chapter 4. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that it's an entire game in of itself. At least that's the way it looks to me. So can't wait basically to get hands on beta and give that a try and see if it actually is as good as it looked, because it did look good. Jay Strange, HUD colours for consoles, don't know about that, but it seemed to be a bit of a difficult thing for Elite. I know it's something that Frontier definitely would love to do, but as Down to Earth said earlier on, it's down to something in the way the HUD colours are implemented in the game. It makes it very difficult for Frontier to actually modify it and support in-game customised HUDs. I mean, on the PC we can do it because we modify one of the game files, but it's not something, for whatever reason, they can officially support. They kind of unofficially support it on PC, but that's about it. Old Duck, do I like the upcoming update? So, like I said, Old Duck, I don't want to hype it up. It's something I really don't want to do. I don't think hype is the best way to go about things, because my expectations are always going to be different to your expectations, and your expectations are always going to be different to anyone else's expectations. But what I saw, I did like. I liked exploration. I liked what I saw about mining. What else did we see? I liked the new graphical changes. In fact, they did look really good. There was loads of things. As DJ pointed out, we were in there for about 6 hours, being shown various contents, and obviously a lot of that was Q&A sessions, us talking with the developers. But what I did see, I did like. I do have a few trepidations about some of the content. I can't really go into too much detail about the things I've got trepidations with, but DJ did mention he had a bit of concerns about some things with squadrons, so I kind of would echo that. But obviously can't go into detail. But it is an update I'm looking forward to, and I think in hindsight people will look back at Beyond in much the same way they looked back in hindsight at Horizons. I know a lot of people, when part 1 of Horizons come out, they were like, well, is this it? Obviously there was a massive part of that with the planets and the SRV. That was a big thing, and then we were waiting for engineers, and as time rolled on, people kind of wondered, is this really an entire season's worth of content? But looking back at Horizons, you often see people saying, is it worth me getting Horizons now? And as a standalone product, Horizons is definitely very much worth having as an add-on to Elite. And I think we're in the same position now, where people are looking back at what we've had so far for Beyond. A lot of people are saying, is this really a full update? Is this really an entire season of content? And at this point in time, it isn't. Chapter 3 was very small. Chapter 2 was small. Chapter 1 was pretty good. One of the things I did really like was the planetary changes, but overall it was still quite small in the grand scheme of things. But I think, looking back in hindsight, once Chapter 4 is out, I think people will say that yes, it is a season's worth of content. So Commander Korax, you wonder if lore quests will be incorporated in Chapter 4. So nothing specific in terms of lore missions, but Frontier have said already, they said this on Frontier Expo, I think they talked about it, that lore will be a part of the things that integrates into the codex. So that doesn't necessarily mean new lore quests. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it's also possible that older lore stuff will be integrated into that. So there's a way of tracking all the lore stuff within the game. So that's I think that's quite important. Commander Soundo, Will from Frontier, the community manager, said that next week's live stream from Frontier is Bug Hunt, I think. He said that live streams on Chapter 4 are coming at some point after that. So he hasn't given a date yet, but hopefully it's not going to be too long. So I'm going to scroll back up again, because I know I've missed a few points in chat here. So Ushka says, what is the one thing I'd add to exploring if I could add anything I desire, I guess? That would be the Orrery map. These are some wonderful 3D concept maps, and I'll see if I can actually find an image of that now. I don't know if I've got that. I've got that stored somewhere on my computer because I use it quite frequently in videos, but I want you to have a look at it. Most people will probably know at this point what it is I'm talking about. Oh dear, where would that be? It would be on the video I did about exploration, wouldn't it, recently? Just going through my files here. It'll be 2 seconds because I think I know precisely where that image is. There we go. So on screen, there we go. On screen you can see, it's a bit large, a bit oversized there. On screen you can see what was an Orrery map from the original concept days of Elite Dangerous. Probably, I think, around about 2013 this was released. This is a sort of thing, an interactive 3D map. If I could have anything I wanted added into exploration for Elite Dangerous, it would be these Orrery maps. But apparently that's not to be a thing, at least not yet. Let's just get back up a little bit further. So Starship Enterprise says he thinks that Elite Dangerous will always be a thing for Frontier. Now, I've spoken with a lot of people at Frontier over the years, and even the people at the very top. The one thing they say is that Elite Dangerous will always be a thing, pretty much, as long as they can make it a thing. So I've certainly got no worries about Elite Dangerous coming to an end anytime soon. There was a bit of a concern with this whole the 2021 lifespan thing, which is one of the reasons we brought it up. But like we mentioned, that was an accounting thing. I'm not an accountant, so I can't go into specifics, but I've got no reason to doubt what Frontier was saying on that. As Vipe said, as long as Frontier are making money from Elite will stay in active development. I think so too. I don't think it will stop anytime soon. There's definitely big things next year. No idea what they are. Frontier won't talk about them, unfortunately, and I really do think that sooner rather than later they're going to need to get a roadmap out for 2019's content. People are going to want to know before the end of the year, so hopefully we're not waiting too long to hear what's coming next year, because I think that's pretty important. Smithy Venturas, you can see at some point Elite turn into Eve, and I assume by Eve you mean a game that's constantly ongoing for many, many years. I can see the same, personally. Yep, Ushgar, Space Legs, if it ever comes, certainly does need a point to it. If we can just get out of ships right now or walk around our cockpits, then that'd be really nice for a little while, but it's going to need to come with new gameplay, which basically means it's an entire new game. So yeah, we don't want Space Legs if there's nothing to do with them. Totally agree. Need a city builder for Elite. You know, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Old duck. I can't actually see it happening. One thing I could potentially see happening would be bases or private hangars. And by potentially happening, I mean it's perhaps feasible in terms of development. I don't know, I'm not a developer, but just some hangars you could customize, and maybe when Space Legs comes out, hangars you could get out and walk around. But yeah, base building maybe would be a nice thing, but quite a big scope, I'd say. Yeah, HG mentioned mining for Q4 or something I'm looking forward to as well. So yeah, Vandal, we were talking about that early on. Pointing out to Frost that a few people were invited into Frontier's offices to see about Chapter 4 and ask questions of the devs, and the devs to really get a bit of feedback from us. I was one of those people. There was 17 of us. Not all content creators. There was a few player group leaders, quite a few player groups there in fact, and other people from the community. There's a big photo in fact, and I can't remember all the names off the top of my head unfortunately, but yeah, we got to. You can ask some things. Obviously I'm under NDA. We did have to sign an undisclosure agreement, so I can't talk in specifics, but if you want to ask something, then do go ahead and ask it. Warcraft has pandas. Pandas in Elite. Trying to think how that would look. Panda pilots. That'd be quite nice. So if they want to rejuvenate the game, this is KC, they will need to allow player interactions with the world at a deeper level. And that's where you're going into base building or colonization or expansion. You know, colonization or expansion, that would be really nice. I'd like to see that as a side effect from exploration. When you discover a potential world for not colonization, what's it called? Terraforming. Yeah, when you see a potential world for terraforming, that would be a nice way to kind of expand exploration a bit. That you could sell that data and someone would then start colonizing that world once they've terraformed it. It's a nice idea. Commander Korax again, and going back a little bit early on in the stream, or in the chat stream here, you said where Elite Dangerous is only one of the products that provides Frontier an income stream. and the yearly internal budget roadmap determines how the funds get distributed. So of course we don't really get to see the specifics of the roadmap for Elite and how they've budgeted or allocated money towards future development costs, but it's definitely true that Elite Dangerous has got a number of other products on the go. They've got 3 at the moment, and I know they sold a lot of copies of Jurassic World, so that made them a lot of money. And they're in the new offices now, and they've got 400 employees, which is up from 360 when we were talking about it just a few months ago. So they're growing very, very fast, and there was a lot of empty space in that building as well because it was so big. 400 people in there and a lot of room for expansion, so I don't think Frontier got too much to worry about. I know some people have pointed out their falling share prices. I don't really know about that because I'm not into trading share prices, but they didn't seem any concerns about their future game development anyway. I think that kind of looked alright. Okay, we're back, catching up with chat again, back to where I started here. Smitty Venturas, I think the day the servers at Frontier shut down Elite Dangerous, there will be bigger and better games. Yep, totally agree, depending on how long it is, but you know, maybe even Frontier would make a bigger and better game at some point, who knows. Chris Heggs, was what you saw enough to get you re-energized about the game? Yes, it was, Chris, definitely. Chapter 4, one of the biggest things about Chapter 4 that I can say about, and that I'm really keen for, is at the moment, one thing I've always pointed out is that a lot of the elements of Elite Dangerous are kind of disconnected from each other. So mining is a really good example that Frontier have actually discussed about already. Mining, you can go out and explore, and you've got your exploration ship, and you're discovering planets and populating your system map, and you might find an Earth-like, or you might find some resource-rich asteroid rings around the planets, around the gas giants or whatever. And then you've got mining. You've got someone else going out mining who's mining asteroids, and they're getting some good resources. But those two elements are completely separate areas of the game. They're not connected to each other in any way. And the one thing about Chapter 4 is that it's bringing all this stuff together. Excuse me, just taking a drink. So the way it's going to be with exploration excuse me, is that you've got new exploration tools that allow you to find... Oh, I'm going to have to mute for a second. Yeah, sorry about that. So, yeah, one of the things with Chapter 4 is how it's integrating all these different parts of gameplay together. So, with the new exploration tools, you could use them to discover planets. You can use them to discover planetary surfaces and things, points of interest down on the planets. You can also use them to discover unidentified signal sources, and those same tools can be used to discover special high resource-rich mining nodes. So, basically, you're connecting exploration into mining, and you're connecting exploration into unidentified signal sources, which of course can be combat focused or anything else. So essentially, one thing that I really do like about Chapter 4, and it's one thing I got to see quite a bit of yesterday, is, oh look, we've got a nice planet coming up over there on the horizon. Planet Rise or Planet Set. So one of the things with Chapter 4 is how it's bringing together a lot of those different areas of the game, where at the moment Elite's kind of segregated into those different gameplay areas. It's kind of bringing it together into a unified whole, connecting one part of the game to the other. So that's one thing I'm really excited for, Chris. One of the things I'm kind of keen to see. I think Elite is, and I used that word, didn't I? Excited. I said to myself I wouldn't use that, but it's one of the things that Elite has long needed. Of course, as I said earlier, we're going to have to wait to see it in action, wait to see the live streams, wait till you've got beta in your own hands. There's only so much that you can actually take my word for it. And as I said, everyone's got different opinions on what they think is actually a good thing. But that's personally one of the things I was really looking forward to at any rate. Let's refuel the SRV there. So I can't go into depth, Fox, about the codex, but I can just reiterate what Frontier have already said about it, that it does link together lore-based stuff and to some extent activity-based stuff. They talked about it a little bit at the Frontier Expo yesterday, but basically it's a way to document not just your own activities, but some type of global things as well. It's a codex, it's an encyclopedia, it's kind of what you'd expect it to be. In terms of specifics, hopefully it's not too long until they start showing that stuff. So Andre asking about my next planned stream. Hopefully I will be streaming on Wednesday. Wednesday's my day when I stream a game other than Elite Dangerous. I'm not sure what I'll be streaming yet, but I think it will be possibly Star Control. I'll be live streaming Stellaris on Monday. That's going to be quite a good stream, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll be back on Friday live streaming with the Round Table and all the guys again. Woody Wilson, am I going on Distant Worlds 2? I will be going on Distant Worlds 2, but I don't know to what extent. Obviously, I can't commit to the entire journey, but I'm very much looking forward to Distant Worlds. The first one was absolutely amazing, so very keen to see go on the second one. So, Odivius Necrobones. The explorers are curious about the honk. Will it still reveal only the main star or pop up empty globes on the rest of the map? So I can only really talk about what Frontier have talked about on the feedback, and the thing is, a number of people have interpreted that in different ways. So the one thing that is consistently interpreted, Frontier was very specific about that, is that the honk does only reveal the central star. So the other thing is that Frontier talked about on the feedback forum is that the honk also reveals the emissions data of stars that or stars and bodies and planets and moons that are within that system. So the emission data is like a graph that tells you what data or what planets are actually in that system. And as this is where different people interpreted the that forum post in different ways. Some people interpreted that emission data would basically give you an instant overview of the bodies that are in that planet and that system. Other people interpreted it to mean that you then need to zero in on that data to get a refined picture of what's in the body. So it's kind of a case that both are true. It does give you an instant overview, but you need to learn to interpret the graph, as Frontier said in the feedback post. They said as you learn to interpret it, you'll be able to understand what it's showing you, but also you can refine it to get more information on that. So yeah, the instant overview is currently going away, but once you get used to the gameplay, it's not going to be too much different. But again, I can't really go into specifics on that, unfortunately. Just really do want to point out that a lot of people's concerns that they had on that feedback forum was down to the way they'd interpreted the wording of that post, and it's a bit unfortunate that Frontier didn't put some animated footage in there. They could have put some GIFs in there or some video, and it would have made it a lot more clearer and saved the confusion that's come from that. So Ian Gorsuch, sorry if I got your name wrong, you're saying 3 years doesn't seem right for development of the game. I agree, I don't think it is 3 years of development. I think it's going to be a lot longer. Again, 3 years come up on the Frontier's recent financial reports, and it's something that's a financial issue to do with the way they budget towards the game. It's not a development issue. And this doesn't mean to say that the game's running out of money after 3 years either. No idea about a dedicated exploration ship, David? Yeah, the Q4 update is really big vibe. It's if you combine everything we've so far had from Beyond, that still wouldn't be as much content as that's coming in the Chapter 4 update. Yeah, I'm positive about the next patch, Soundo, but I'm also keen to emphasise that everyone's going to have different opinions on it. Yeah, just because I'm positive doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be positive. But equally, I think everyone would be, what the heck, if I come out and I was very negative about it as well. There's only a few concerns I have about it. I don't think they're insurmountable, but there were points that were addressed and directed at the developers. Like I said early on, it was a case that we were brought in and we got to talk with the developers rather than to the community team, and that does make an immense difference. We could pose questions to them, pose concerns to them, and you know, they took that stuff on board, and that was pretty good. Oh, thank you, Chris Hex. Very much appreciate that. Really appreciate your content, time and attitude, and keep it up. Well, thank you. That means a lot. I've just actually clicked on that donation option and I've lost chat, so I'm gonna refresh chat and I'll try and scroll back to where I was again. Sorry if I miss out any shout outs on the stream as well. I just want to point out why the and I'll give a shout out to everyone again at the end of the stream, but when I'm on with the round table, the other content creators, it's an agreement we've got with each other that we don't do shout outs for donations while we're all talking, because obviously we're all streaming together, we're all on different channels, and it starts getting a little bit messy. So it's not the fact that we don't appreciate it, because we certainly do. It's just we wait till the right time to start talking about that. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm just gonna get that chat back up and try and scroll back to the same point there. So I can only go back so far, so apologise if I've missed any chat here. No, I can't speak about the anomalies spike, but I did see the lightning storms in action and they look good. What am I looking forward to most about Chapter 4? I'd say it's mining and exploration, Cosby. Yeah, everything. We need something to do while on long trips. Long trips do get a bit boring, don't they? Super cruises, long haul super cruise trips are one of the things that bother me the most about the game. I kind of wish there was an autopilot feature, but you know, there we go. Do I see a way to connect exploration with bounty hunting? I don't know. I mean, now they've got discovery tools like that with exploration. They can be used for so many things. Theoretically, I don't see why you couldn't use that same tool they've described in the feedback forum to find unidentified signal sources that have assassination targets in. Mini games can become tedious, Vandal. Very much agree. Ushka, bringing mining and exploration together. To what point, you want to know? Beyond just cash. That's kind of something I spoke about in a recent video. One thing I'd like to see is exploration and mining, you know, finding rich resource areas would feed into the background simulation, and once certain factions or superpowers or whatever become aware that those resources are there, or those Earth-like planets are there, that they'd then go out and grab those resources or colonize those worlds. That would kind of give it an overall purpose, wouldn't it? Yeah, Ushka, that would be empire building, definitely. Who knows, maybe something in the future, I don't know. So I can't give any indication about the fact of how much content is coming that you don't know about, but there is content that you don't know about. Yeah, Guardians definitely had a thing for scenery. Then again, so did Thargoids. There's some fantastic Thargoid bases. I think beta is only going to be a PC thing, HG, at least going by all the previous betas. They're usually only available on PC, unfortunately. Maybe Mac? Or is Mac coming to an end with Chapter 4. I know Mac support is coming to an end at some point as well, so either way, yes, it won't be on consoles. Mark Simpson. Is mining and exploration getting much needed merger of purposes? Yes, I kind of spoke about that just now, so I'm probably just catching up with chat here a bit. Yeah, I can kiss and me's. Definitely want to get the first mapped by credit, especially on some well-known planets. So Alden, I don't know when beta's gonna be. I do know that Frontier said they're going to start talking about Chapter 4 on live streams in the next few weeks, so I would imagine that beta wouldn't be too much after that. Yeah, Star Control, definitely looking forward to it. Again, just catching up with chat here if I'm covering over some same points again. That's a good point, Vandal. Definitely, regardless of what I say or what anyone else says, do wait to form your own opinions on exploration or indeed anything else. I can only talk about what I've seen and what I thought about it. Everyone's got to have to form their own expectations. Oh, Mark Simpson. Distant Worlds 2, is it going to get mugged by the Thargoids like the Gnosis? That would be terrible, wouldn't it? Right, so World Law, why have a honk as we jump into the star? The purpose of that is because the honk comes from the Discovery Scanner, the Advanced Discovery Scanner, and the Advanced Discovery Scanner is the module that you need to discover planets and do all the exploration. So the honk, the initial blast, as Frontier said on their feedback forum thread, is that allows you to reveal all the emission data that's going on within that particular system. So that's things like unidentified signal sources and planets and moons and all the rest of it, anomalies and everything else. So that's the purpose of the honk, to reveal that data to you that you can then zero in on and further refine. I just got a notification. I think I've got on-screen alerts switched off. Sorry about that. I think someone's just... Have someone just given a donation there? Ah, fish and chips. You know what? I fancy some fish and chips, Russian. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I was actually just thinking about... Were you reading my mind or something? I was literally just thinking about fish and chips. Thank you very much. Always the optimist. Well, sometime, Vandal. Not when it comes to engineering and not when it comes to material gathering. I'm certainly not very optimistic about that side of the game. So, Commander Revco, you're talking about travelling in hyperspace, not taking as much time as before. I'm not quite sure what you're meaning there, but I think maybe you're talking about where Frontier said you'd spend less time travelling to and fro to all the planets inside a system when you're exploring. And the reason I was saying that is because you won't have to fly toward the planet if you don't want to. You can get a little bit of mapping done on it from a distance. You'd only need to fly up to it if you want more details on it. Same with with unidentified signal sources, I guess. From what they were hinting at, we'd potentially be able to see what unidentified signal sources, because as they said, was this in recently? Yeah, this was in the exploration feedback thread. They said that when you jump into a system, that all unidentified signal sources will actually spawn at that point, and you'll be able to use the discovery tools to actually reveal what they are. So you'll be able to do that without all the travelling. Do you think they'll ever rework SRVs for multi-crew? You know, I'm not sure, Netslayer, why the SRV... That's one thing I actually wanted to talk about. It's one thing I wanted to ask them about, and I totally forgot when I was there yesterday. I wanted to know why that is. It's obviously a technical reason, but I don't know how difficult it is for them to overcome. Why would you need SRV and multi-crew, HG? So the purpose of that would be you have someone come into your ship and you're flying around over the surface of the planet, and you then deploy them in your SRV, and they could drive your SRV while you fly your ship. That would be the purpose of multi-crew. So what you missed, Asperger, about 2021 is that Frontier released their financial reports for this year, and there was a point about 2021, and some people misinterpreted that to mean the game's coming to the end of its life in 2021, and it's not a case of that. It's just a, as HG points out, it's a paperwork issue to do with financial reporting. So just going down some chat here, just slowly catching up. Yep, I think I might... Did I just say lightning storms, ISO Kicks? We saw lightning storms revealed at LaveCon. Let's see if I can... You must have seen that, surely. Let me see if I can find the video. I've got a video clip of that somewhere. Just bear with me a minute. I'm sure most people will probably have seen it by now. No, it's not in there. Just going through my folders here to see if we can actually find that stuff. No, unfortunately it doesn't look like I can find it. You'll be able to find it anyway, probably on the Frontier YouTube channel. There was footage there of lightning storms in space. Yeah, Kissimmee. I think it would be much better if Yamiks had waited for his 24-hour mining live stream. Starship Enterprise, you remember me saying... Sorry. The thing about having a timer for when you put the pad down. No Man's Sky versus Elite. Do you think that Frontier are working towards making Elite more immersive? Yes. If you mean, are they working towards making everything more interconnected, then yes, definitely. So, Commander Fenchard, will the new patch have increased system requirements for PC users? Now, one thing that Frontier did mention, and I'm pretty sure it was the executive producer on Elite, he spoke about this at LaveCon this year, which was... there was a video about that, a live stream about that. One thing he did say is that there's going to be no impact on PC system requirements. So, personally, I'd say perhaps there'd be minimal ones if I wanted to rephrase what he said, but he did actually say there'd be no increase in system requirements, which is pretty impressive. They didn't talk about the Gnosis fiasco, Alden, unfortunately. I do know they were as equally disappointed as the way that turned out as a player, but that's based on what we'd seen them say previously. I don't think the new lighting, this is Dude Man. I don't think the new lighting model has been waiting for ray tracing, no. Well, thank you very much, Ralph Fagar. I appreciate that. R2 Sam, I was on with the others. We had nearly 2.5 hours together. You've come in perhaps a little bit late. Yeah, we're coming towards the end of the stream, as Andre points out. Okay, great. HG, do take care. I'll catch you all later. Get Revco, I don't know whether Ice Shaders are cancelled. I do know they're not in Chapter 4. Echo, I wasn't talking about new players taking advantage of any newly discovered resources. I was talking more about the NPCs and those factions expanding into those areas. Just sort of a concept I've spoken about in the past. Anything on money making? No. Nothing specific on that. Depends what you mean, Marograph. You're a bit concerned about exploration becoming complicated for casual explorers. If you mean scan and honk and then run, then it's going to be different for them. I wouldn't say overly complicated, but you know, wait and see. They'll be demonstrating it in not too long. Well, I'd like an answer to that as well. Why can't SRVs and fighters be used at the same time? Who knows? Right, I think I've just got down to the bottom of the chat there. So I think that's time to end it. We've got 3 hours into this stream. It's been really, really good. I had a good chat with all the other people. Yamiks and Down to Earth, Exigius, Peroxim and DJTruthsayer. It's always fun to have them on. And it's great always having a chat with you lot as well. Thank you very much for coming along. And I do want to give a shout out to everyone who gave some donations during the course of the streams here. So thank you for Geronimo Morano. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. That was very early on. Marty Marr, thank you very much for that. And Spidey, thank you for all your support, by the way. Not just with the donations and being a member of my YouTube channel, but I really appreciate all the help you've given me on the Discord channel. I really, really do appreciate it. And for anyone who actually does want to come along to my Discord channel, I'm going to put a link in the chat right now. I've got a Discord channel now. It's a really nice community. Had a lot of help with it from Dr. Anwid and Spidey DM and from Stuart GT. Also had a lot of help from all the moderators there. But yeah, it's a great place. Yeah, there's a link right there if you want to join that and come along. Yeah, so thank you to Oz Geffy. Sorry, butchering your name. Really nice donation there. Thank you very much. Do appreciate that. That was a pretty big one. Thank you twice to Ryan Day. And of course, thank you as always to Commander Kovast Korax. Very, very much appreciated. Huge donation. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you very much. Thank you to Chris Hex. Glad you liked the content. And thank you to Russian Bastard. As you send that through, as I was happened to be thinking about fish and chips. Yeah, glad you enjoyed the stream, ISO Kicks and everyone else. So I'm off. I'll be back on Monday with a stream for Stellaris. I'll be back on Wednesday with another stream for possibly Star Control. And a live stream as well next Friday. So I'll catch you all next time. Thank you very much.